Survival for all. I start by building a mecha and piloting a Gundam. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276 obtained the Pressure Salter of Faith blueprint. The Tang guy is so lucky. If he didn't have that demigod level troop, would he be so arrogant? He would attack the kingdom so quickly? If it were us, we wouldn't even dare to think about it. Who can blame him for being lucky? He must have obtained a lot of good things from conquering the Goblin Kingdom this time. Just look at the tens of thousands of equipment in the trading channel. He gained a lot. He must have obtained a lot of building blueprints. The most important thing is the supplies and troop building blueprints. If nothing goes wrong, his troop buildings will also reach level 5. Promotion is inevitable, and he will definitely get 10,000 or 20,000 soul stones. For us, this is a lot, but for Tang Xiaofan, who conquered the Goblin Kingdom, what is it? Tang Xiaofan's strength is getting more and more terrifying. Damn it. My troop buildings have only been upgraded to level 4, and it will take a day or two to upgrade to level 5. What I'm worried about is that his troop buildings will be upgraded to level 6. That would be terrible. Level 6 is impossible. Upgrading to level 6 requires a full 100,000 soul stones. Even if he conquers the Goblin Kingdom, it is far from meeting the upgrade standard. For us, it will take at least 10 days or half a month to upgrade our arms and buildings to level 6. How can he do it so quickly? Because he is Tang Xiaofan. The chat atmosphere in the Holy Light Alliance was completely different. Bear Grylls, when will you bring Boss Tang Xiaofan into our alliance? Boss Tang Xiaofan destroyed the Goblin Kingdom. It's such a big thing. We have to celebrate for him. Sure enough, Boss Tang Xiaofan is so strong. With only one castle force, he conquered a kingdom force and killed tens of thousands of enemies. Such an earth-shaking thing. Except for Boss Tang Xiaofan, which other castle lord can do it? Even the famous top castle forces such as the Fire Dragon's Nest, the Death Knight's Kingdom, and the Elf Garden can't do it. Boss Tang Xiaofan's title of the strongest castle lord is well deserved. If nothing else, I just want to know when Boss Tang Xiaofan will join our Holy Light Alliance. As the leader of the alliance, how can he not join the alliance? On the Karami Prairie, Bear Grylls looked at the content in the chat channel speechlessly. Why didn't he want Tang Xiaofan to join the Holy Light Alliance? The key is that Tang Xiaofan doesn't want to. What can he do? As far as I know, the Goblin Kingdom in the forest has a population of more than 150,000, 3 legions, and more than 10,000 elite goblin warriors. In addition, the Goblin Kingdom also has 21st level strongmen and dozens of 20th level strongmen. Yi took a deep breath. Such a powerful local force was actually broken. Most likely it was the demigod under Tang Xiaofan who took action. With his demigod power, it is no problem to suppress the Goblin Kingdom. I have to admit that Yi is very envious. After all, that is a demigod. The ancient giant bear under his command. Sure enough, the stronger the person, the stronger he will become. At a faster speed, widen the gap with others, making it difficult for people to see his back. Tang Xiaofan has surpassed other castle forces too much. Now, Yi has completely lost the idea of catching up with Tang Xiaofan. Now thinking back to his previous arrogance and persistence, it feels very childish. His only thought now was to ride the wind and waves on Tang Xiaofan's ship. Tang Xiaofan was eating and drinking at the bow, and it would not be wrong to follow Tang Xiaofan. But the problem was that Tang Xiaofan didn't seem to want him to sit at the stern and drink soup. Tang Xiaofan didn't even look at the Holy Light Alliance that he had worked so hard to build. This made him very helpless. Lord. At this moment, a voice interrupted Bear Grylls' thoughts. He looked up and saw an ancient giant bear speaking human language. Like the dragon, the top soldiers like the ancient giant bear can also speak. After being promoted to level 20, the ancient giant bear faced Bear Grylls, bowed his head respectfully and said, 180 kilometers ahead, we found a large fox tribe with more than 5,000 beast foxes. What is the highest combat power of the fox tribe? Early level 20. Very good. Bear Grylls turned over and rode on the back of another ancient giant bear, holding a fine iron sword and pointing the sword forward. Kill them. Conquer the fox tribe and kill all the foxes who refuse to surrender. Yes, my lord. In an instant, more than 300 majestic ancient giant bears roared and rushed into the distance. They were like a brown ocean, running fast on the grassland. In the blink of an eye, Bear Grylls and his ancient giant bear army disappeared at the end of the grassland. In the Goblin Kingdom, Tang Xiaofan knew nothing about the regional announcement. Of course, even if he knew, he would not take it to heart. He had experienced the world announcement more than once, so what was the regional announcement? He was checking the gains after destroying the Kingdom Hearts. First, destroying the Kingdom Heart of the Goblin Kingdom will directly earn you 10,000 soul stones. This is an additional reward from the game official, not a bonus. 10,000 soul stones. As expected of a kingdom, the rewards are so generous. Tang Xiaofan still remembers the Etin tribe. After destroying the heart of the tribe, he only received an additional reward of 50 soul stones. In the Goblin Kingdom, he will be directly rewarded with 10,000 soul stones. But that's normal. There are only a few hundred Etins in the Etin tribe. Multiply that by 200 times. There are still not as many goblins in the Goblin Kingdom. After all, it is a kingdom. The rewards are naturally generous. Tang Xiaofan took a look at his soulstone reserves. After a sudden increase of 10,000, his soulstones have reached more than 115,800, almost reaching 120,000. No one would believe such a soulstone reserve if it was told to others. In addition to the soulstone rewards, after destroying the Kingdom Hearts, a large number of blueprints were obtained. Tang Xiaofan took a rough look and found that he had obtained more than 30 blueprints, and each of them was an identified building blueprint. The most arrow tower blueprints were directly 15. There were also many other blueprints, such as the lookout tower blueprints, the homestay blueprints, and so on. In addition to these, there were 2 advanced building blueprints, namely the city wall blueprint and the altar of faith building blueprint. There was one advanced blueprint with the highest value, which was the altar of faith building blueprint. Advanced building blueprint, altar of faith, number of uses, 5 times. Effect 1. Greatly increase the loyalty and faith value of the castle residents to the castle lord. Effect 2. After the battle begins, the morale of the castle soldiers will be raised to the peak. And during the battle, the castle soldiers have a chance to enter a violent state, doubling their combat effectiveness. Effect 3. Greatly increase the speed of collecting the power of faith. Construction requirements. 30,000 units of wood, 10,000 units of stone, 5,000 units of refined iron. 3 effects. Except for the first one, which is of no use to me. The other 2 effects are very good. Effect 2. The morale of the soldiers is raised to the peak, and there is a chance to enter a violent state, doubling their strength. Just like the attack and defense power increased by the material synthesis laboratory, the more soldiers I have in the castle, the better the effect. Effect 3. Increase the speed of collecting the power of faith, which will be very helpful when I become a god. Chapter 277. Nature Elf's Holy Blessing Set. Tang Xiaofan was all smiles. In short, this blueprint is comparable to the material laboratory before the upgrade. The most important thing is that it can be used 5 times, which means that he can build 5 altars of faith. 1 for the Black Technology Castle, 1 for the Goblin Kingdom, and 1 for the Elf Tribe. Tang Xiaofan looked at the blueprint of the altar of faith in his hand and immediately decided that in the future, every city under his rule would have to build an altar of faith. With the altar of faith, he can harvest the power of faith of believers, which will help him to gather divine power after becoming a god. For the god of faith, the heart is the power of faith. If a god of faith cannot collect the power of faith, then there is no way to gather more divine power and can only rely on his own practice to slowly grind. Such a god of faith is very weak. At this time, Tang Xiaofan remembered the statue standing in the Goblin tribe. It was built by Zhang Yi himself when the warrior team conquered the Goblin tribe. Now, his statue has become a carrier of the power of faith under the day and night prayers of the Goblin believers. But compared to the altar of faith, his statue is a little inefficient. Well, it is still necessary. The altar of faith is matched with his statue. A perfect combination for harvesting the power of faith. Then Tang Xiaofan told his idea to the 8-winged angel Tiger beside him. Tiger immediately waved the scepter of the hand insect. In an instant, countless boulders flew up from the center of the ruins of the Goblin King's capital and began to reorganize and merge, gradually becoming a statue. A few minutes later, the statue appeared in the center of the ruins of the capital. It was Tang Xiaofan who was carved. There was also a giant crown inlaid with many gems on the top of the statue Tang Xiaofan, which made his statue more gorgeous and noble. At first glance, I couldn't help but worship it. Not to mention other things, when Tang Xiaofan's statue was erected, a large number of goblins knelt down around the ruins. Whether it was the tribal goblins or the kingdom goblins, they all knelt on the ground and began to pray. It would not take long for his statue to become a carrier of the power of faith, carrying the devout faith of all the goblins in the kingdom. Afterwards, Tang Xiaofan built a faith altar near the statue. The altar was over 30 meters high and all white, emitting a holy white light. At the same time, Tang Xiaofan also found the information of the faith altar after it was built. Advanced building, faith altar, description. It is the basic building of the god of faith, which can quickly collect the power of faith. Effect, increase the power of faith of residents. Special effect 1. It can subtly transform the soldiers and local intelligent creatures within the sphere of influence into believers of the current castle lord. Special effect 2. The believers can offer tribute items through the altar of faith for their devout sacrifices. Offer tribute items. It is equivalent to offering sacrifices to the gods. Tang Xiaofan took a deep breath. To give a simple example, if the goblins in the Goblin Kingdom find treasures and want to present them to him in the future, they don't need to bring the treasures to the Black Technology Castle. They only need to use this altar of faith to directly deliver the treasures to him in the form of sacrifice. This is already a means of God. Although Tang Xiaofan has not yet become a god, but once the altar of faith comes out, he is not much different from a god. Moreover, through the altar of faith and the sacrifice of faith, he can also clearly hear the prayers of the believers. If he is promoted to a god in the future, his divine power can even be directly descended to the Goblin Kingdom through the altar of faith and manifest miracles. The altar of faith is really useful. It can be said to be the standard of the god of faith. Tang Xiaofan knew that he had now completely embarked on the path of the god of faith. The only thing he had to do next was to become a god. With a thought, a golden crystal appeared in Tang Xiaofan's hand. This was also the reward for destroying the kingdom heart of the Goblin Kingdom. Sacred item. Fragment of the heart of the dynasty. Rank. Sacred item. Description. The heart of the dynasty is the core of the dynasty power. Hint 1. Destroy the kingdom power, and there is a chance to obtain the fragment of the heart of the dynasty. Hint 2. 9 pieces of dynasty heart can be combined into a complete dynasty heart. Absorbing dynasty heart fragments can increase the dynasty's national fortune, improve the cultivation speed of the kingdom's people, and increase the growth rate of food. After testing, the current castle lord has not established a dynasty and cannot absorb dynasty heart fragments. After receiving such a message, Tang Xiaofan collected the dynasty heart fragments. He did not need to collect 9 dynasty heart fragments to combine a complete dynasty heart, because when he won the first place in the battle power score list in the Beast Tide event, he got the only special reward, the dynasty heart. When he established a dynasty, he can choose to use it directly. At that time, use his dynasty heart. Fuse this fragment to improve the national fortune of the Black Technology dynasty. It's almost time to go back. Tang Xiaofan called the Goblin Elders, the Goblin Kadu, and the Goblin Bagdan. The follow-up of the Goblin Kingdom will be handed over to you. Rebuild the Goblin Kingdom as soon as possible, and then form an elite Goblin army to hunt creatures in the underground world. Yes, Lord. The 3 goblins knelt respectfully in front of Tang Xiaofan. Then, the 8-winged angel Tiger, who received Tang Xiaofan's signal, released the army's teleportation magic and teleported Tang Xiaofan directly to the Black Technology Castle. The other troops returned along the original route, clearing all dangerous factors along the way to facilitate the laying of trains later. As soon as he returned to the Black Technology Castle, Tang Xiaofan found a figure standing under the elf mother tree. But it was not Olivia. The spirit of the elf mother tree who let herself go had not returned to the Black Technology Castle until the war was over, and no one knew where she went crazy. Tang Xiaofan was not worried about her safety. After all, she was a demigod. With Olivia's strength, she could also fight in and out of the dragon nest. The figure that appeared under the elf mother tree was a very beautiful natural elf. Tang Xiaofan had seen her before. Her name was Aita. The elder of the elf tribe was also a senior elf blacksmith. Now, she appeared in the castle. Obviously, the set of king level equipment had been modified. Lord Elf Elder Aita came to Tang Xiaofan and saluted respectfully and handed over a box respectfully. In the box lay a piece of exquisite armor, as well as a full set of weapons and accessories. As Tang Xiaofan expected, this beautiful senior elf blacksmith brought Tang Xiaofan a modified and upgraded natural elf blessing suit. The natural elf blessing suit was originally a king level magic suit. Now, under Aita's careful creation, it has become a holy level suit. It must have consumed a lot of rare metals, which is Aita's painstaking work. Chapter 278 The confidence to advance to level 21 comes from the Lord. This piece of armor, which looked like a work of art, showed relevant information in Tang Xiaofan's eyes. Blessing of the Nature Elves. Set. Description. This is a set carefully made by the Nature Elf Vegeta. It is not only powerful, but also has an artistic atmosphere of elf style. Effect 1. Comprehensively enhance the defense and political attack of the wearer of the equipment. Effect 2. Can release a level 21 healing magic. Resurrection of the elf goddess. Effect 3. Can continuously and multiple times release level 20. Rose attack magic. Elf arrow. Effect 4. Greatly increase your charm value. Special effect 1. This is a set made by the nature elves. Wearing it will increase the favorability of the nature elves. Special effect 2. Can improve your luck. Special effect 3. Increase the life and natural magic in the domain of the 21st level strong, and enhance the domain power year on year. After the upgrade, the holy set has 3 more effects than before. The first is the 21st level healing magic, the second is to improve your own luck, the third is to increase the power of the 21st level domain. The second effect, to increase the luck value, is a bit fantasy, and the effect is uncertain. However, the newly added level 21 magic and the third effect, the increase in level 21 domain power, increased the value of this suit tenfold. In addition, Tang Xiaofan believed that, after strengthening to the level 21 magic suit, its other effect attributes were also better than before, such as the increased defense and attack, which were naturally much higher than when it was a king level suit. Moreover, the power of the single target political magic elf arrow must be even stronger. Yeeta, you gave me a surprise. Tang Xiaofan took the holy level suit from the beautiful elf elder Aita with a smile. He had just been promoted to level 11, and the holy level suit was delivered to him. It must be said that this was really a pleasant surprise. At the beginning, the elf elder Aita told him that it would take 3 days to transform the suit under the blessing of the natural elves. In fact, 3 days had already passed. However, Tang Xiaofan did not rush to urge him. Now Aita came to the castle and brought him a big surprise. The value of the holy magic suit is far beyond the king magic suit. It can even be said that the skeleton knife of the dead holy artifact that Tang Xiaofan exploded from the 20 level skeleton king ran. After all, one is a single weapon and the other is a complete suit, including armor, weapons, and shoes. Each piece of equipment has a good attribute bonus, and the whole set of equipment can not only add attributes, but also bring aesthetic enjoyment. No wonder the charm value will be greatly increased after wearing the whole set. Hearing Tang Xiaofan's praise, the elf elder Aita hurriedly said, "It is Aita's honor to serve you and make equipment." She learned from her mother that with the help of the Lord, her mother has been promoted to a demigod. The other elves in the tribe have also improved their strength. In addition, the Lord has bred 2 elemental elves, dozens of holy unicorns, and a large number of elves for the elf tribe. Compared with the contributions made by the Lord to their elf tribe, what does a mere set of holy magic suit count as an official? If possible, she even hopes to become the exclusive equipment forger of the Lord and build the equipment that the Lord needs for his whole life. Yes. Tang Xiaofan smiled and nodded. Looking at Aita, he asked, "Are you going to stay in my castle next, or return to the elf tribe? If you stay, I have 2 drawings of the equipment refinery shop here, and I can build 2 equipment refineries for you." Elf Elder Aita said. Aita is very honored to serve the Lord. Okay. Obviously this beautiful elf blacksmith is going to stay. Tang Xiaofan then used up all the drawings of the 2 equipment refineries near the elf mother tree. 2 equipment refineries were built. Tang Xiaofan said to the elf elder Aita, "From now on, these 2 equipment refineries belong to you, and you can also use them on STEM materials and special metals in my castle warehouse at will. In addition, you can also recruit a group of elves and let them learn how to make equipment for you. Praise you, Lord." The elf elder Aita saluted hurriedly. Her heart was very excited. She was looking forward to staying in the Black Technology Castle in the future. Seeing Tang Xiaofan waving his hand, Aita retreated and found the great elf Monica, the elf elder Becky and others who returned to the castle. "Becky, Kama, I envy you. You came to the Black Technology Castle earlier, and now you have all been promoted to level 21. In the previous elf tribe, there were a total of 6 elf elders, including the great elf Monica. Among them, Monica is the strongest, and was the only level 21 strongman in the elf tribe earlier, except for the elf mother tree Olivia. The other 5 elf elders are all level 20. Now, among these 5 level 20 elf elders, 2 have also entered the level 21, namely Becky and Kama. Aita and the other 2 elf elders are still at level 20. Aita looked at the elf elders with great envy. "I'm still at level 20, and you have been promoted to level 21. This is also one of the important reasons why she chose to stay in the Black Technology Castle. She also wanted to follow the Lord and be promoted to level 21. The elf elder Becky smiled and said, "Elder Aita, it's a pity that you did not participate in this war with the Goblin Kingdom, otherwise you would have been promoted to level 21. But don't worry. I believe that you will be able to reach the 21st level soon." Because at this point, the elf elder Becca's expression suddenly became solemn, and she said seriously, "The glory of the Lord is covering us. Just like the elven goddess once did, she favors all of us. Praise the Lord." Monica, Kama and other elves also spoke one after another, and their expressions were filled with reverence, as if for the god of faith. Aita was stunned for a moment, and then she understood. She said to herself, "The Lord holds the fate and future of the elven tribe in his hands. The Lord is like the elven goddess. It's not surprising to believe in him." Aita was not opposed to becoming a believer of Tang Xiaofan. On the contrary, she hoped that she could believe in Tang Xiaofan just like the elves believed in the elven goddess back then. After all, if nothing unexpected happened, the Lord would become a god sooner or later. Aita believed this very much. Although she herself did not understand why, she firmly believed that the Lord could be promoted to a true god. You know, this is a realm that countless creatures dream of setting foot on but cannot. But she just believed it. On the other side, Tang Xiaofan was reviewing his castle army. The most important thing was to count the soldiers who were promoted to 21. Chapter 279. The castle successfully advances to a high-level town. Among the warriors, there are 8 warriors who have reached level 21. Their abilities have skyrocketed, and other warriors have also reached level 20, and some have even reached the peak of level 20. It must be admitted that the warrior team has gained a lot from this battle. Then came the natural elves. There are 3 level 21 warriors, namely the great elf Monica, the elf elder Becky and Kama. Other natural elves have also been promoted to higher levels in the battle. There are 70 to 80 natural elves at level 20, second only to the number of level 20 warriors in the warrior team. 2 elemental elves, the fire elemental elf Evangeline, have been promoted to the middle level of level 20, and the holy light elemental elf Victoria has been promoted to the peak of level 18. As an elemental elf that was born today, Victoria's level promotion speed is even faster than riding a rocket, all thanks to this large-scale war. The 30 little unicorns have now been promoted to level 14 and 16. Their body size has also grown to about 2 meters, allowing their natural elf partners to ride them. Then came the 7 flaming dragons. Among them, the flaming dragons Abrab, Slycut, and Mons were originally at the peak of level 20. They were directly promoted to level 21 in this war. After entering the level 21, their bodies also increased to more than 100 meters. They were almost comparable to the Dark Dragon Arcee, who had lived for more than 1,000 years in the Goblin Kingdom. The other 4 flaming dragons, 3 of which were promoted to the peak of level 20, and the last flaming dragon was naturally the future Red Dragon Queen Little Flame. She also slaughtered a large number of kingdom goblins on the battlefield, and her level was promoted to the early stage of level 20. At her current level, she was already an adult dragon. Her body size also increased from more than 20 meters to 50 or 60 meters. Of course, her mentality was still like that of a child, not very mature. She especially liked to bully those bloodthirsty demon wolves, and rub the bloodthirsty demon wolves that were several times thinner than her on the ground. In the entire Black Technology Castle, Little Flame dared not provoke angels, and those unicorns were protected by level 21 elves. She was afraid of being beaten, and she dared not provoke the warriors, so she could only bully the bloodthirsty magic wolves that had wings like her. Tang Xiaofan only had 2 bloodthirsty magic wolves. Now the strongest bloodthirsty magic wolf has entered the late level 20, and the weakest has reached the peak of level 18. After the war, no level 21 strongmen were born in the Goblin army. This is the limitation of their growth potential. Most of them have entered level 18, and a few have reached level 20. If there is no army evolution blueprint or their own potential unexpectedly explodes, their level will be considered to have reached the top after entering level 20. In the end, Tang Xiaofan did a statistics. At present, he has more than 9,000 soldiers under his command, including 185 elves, flaming dragons, bloodthirsty magic wolves and goblin soldiers above level 20. Secondly, there are 14 soldiers of level 21, and finally 2 demigods, Olivia and Xinyi. Finally, Tang Xiaofan himself, early level 11. This is the current status of the Black Technology Castle. If this data report of mine is spread out, I'm afraid that countless castle citizen wanderers will be scared silly. Tang Xiaofan's uncle could imagine how crazy the World Chat channel and the major alliances would be if his military information was violently exposed. There are 14 military units at level 21 alone. This is incredible. Of course, this is thanks to the Goblin Kingdom and the Fat King. Without the sacrifice of more than 80,000 goblins in the kingdom, the level of his castle military units would not have been raised so quickly. Tang Xiaofan threw the light into his castle warehouse, and suddenly, castle warehouse, the space size will expand as the castle level increases. Reserve supplies, more than 1.56 million units of food, more than 1.84 million units of wood, more than 1.68 million units of stone, more than 820,000 units of refined iron, a number of monster materials, gold coins, gold and silver utensils, gems, and noble ornaments. Current status, invincible special reminder, if the heart of the castle is destroyed, the warehouse's dimensional space will collapse, and the stored materials will all fall, and become the spoils of the hostile forces. Please protect your heart of the castle. Enough. Tang Xiaofan opened the castle's upgrade information without hesitation. The Black Technology Castle upgrades from a mid-level town to a high-level town, which requires 1 million units of wood, 500,000 units of stone, and 200,000 units of refined iron. Now, all his supplies are ready, and there are many more. Do you want to upgrade the current castle to a high-level town? Yes, no, yes. As soon as Tang Xiaofan finished speaking, a dazzling golden light appeared out of thin air, completely covering his Black Technology Castle. Even the entire castle's territory was covered by the golden light. In the golden light, the Black Technology Castle continued to rise and grow. His castle's direct territory was also constantly expanding outward. On the periphery, countless ancient trees, bluestones, jungles, and several meter-high walls were also moving outward. This change attracted everyone's attention. Farmers, angels, natural elves, etc., and their eyes were on Tang Xiaofan, who was shrouded in golden light. In their eyes, Tang Xiaofan was no different from a god. For a while, many natural elves were promoted to believers of Tang Xiaofan. Among them was the great elf Monica, who had already planted the seeds of faith. This change lasted for nearly half an hour, before it was completely over. After the golden light dissipated, what appeared in front of Tang Xiaofan was a giant castle nearly 100 meters high. The whole body seemed to be made of white jade. In addition to the main castle, there were 9 sub-forts, and there was a farmer's statue on the top of each fort. The castle's direct territory also expanded several times outward. The several meter high wall fell into Tang Xiaofan's field of vision, like a black line, because the distance was too far. Tang Xiaofan immediately checked the new information of the castle. Black Tech Castle, current level advanced town, castle buildings, farmer's factory, blacksmith shop, weapon workshop, stone workshop, wood workshop, kitchen, shower room, barber shop, heavy factory, light airport factory, farmland, animal stables, hospital, library, elementary school, middle school, theater, concert hall, tavern, middle school, stadium, garbage treatment plant, park, power plant, fire station, police station, hospital, newly added buildings, railway station, airport, bus station, rocket launch site, special buildings, material laboratory, elf mother tree, holy light temple, altar of faith, upgrade requirements. 2 million units of wood, 2 million units of stone, 500,000 units of refined iron. Next level, primary main city, current status, invincible, current faction, none. Chapter 280, plan to capture the Phoenix Guard. A high level Warcraft clan, advanced town. The next level will consume 2 million pieces of wood and 500,000 pieces of refined iron, which is not a lot. At least I have enough stone and refined iron, only wood is missing. Tang Xiaofan took a look at his warehouse material reserves. He currently has more than 80 units of wood. With another 2.1 million units of wood, he can upgrade the castle to the main city. With the main city, you can establish a dynasty. However, a dynasty built with the main city as its base can only be called a small kingdom. Even if it integrates the heart of the divine dynasty, it will not be recognized by the central area. It doesn't matter, wait until I conquer the forest, capture the dwarf kingdom, and the capital of the forest giant kingdom. By then, with the capital equipped with the heart of the divine dynasty, my black technology castle will be a dynasty force in the true sense. Tang Xiaofan is not impatient at all now. His development speed is already quite fast, and it can be said that it far exceeds other castle lords. Even those top castle forces could not catch up with him. He could steadily encroach on the forest according to the established strategic plan. As the strategic plan progressed, he upgraded the main city, the capital, and established the dynasty. It was a natural thing, and there was no need to be too impatient. At this time, the information prompt also arrived as expected. Congratulations, Lord of the Castle. Your Black Tech Castle has been upgraded to a high-level town. The territory directly under the castle has been expanded to 20 kilometers, and the castle's sphere of influence has been increased to 100 kilometers. The defense value of the castle heart has increased 5-fold. Your Black Tech Castle has greatly increased its influence and reputation in the God and Demon continent. Special reminder 1. The Dwarf Kingdom has increased its friendly value to your Black Tech Castle. Special reminder 2. The Forest Giant Kingdom has increased its friendly value to your Black Tech Castle. Special reminder 3. The Dragon Nest has greatly increased its hatred value to your Black Tech Castle. Special reminder 4. The 20-level Warcraft family Phoenix Guard has greatly increased its friendly value to you. It really belongs to the territory of 20 kilometers. No wonder the castle wall building has almost become a black line in my field of vision. The castle sphere of influence has been increased to 100 kilometers. That is to say, as long as it is doubled, the elven tribe will be included in my castle territory. Tang Xiaofan muttered to himself, and looked at several other special reminders. He directly ignored the first few and only focused on the fourth one. 20-level magic beast family, Phoenix Guard? What kind of magic beast is this? Tang Xiaofan has always known that there is a 20-level magic beast family in the forest, but he didn't know what kind of family it was. Now, the Phoenix Guard appeared in this family. Tang Xiaofan's expression was very surprised. Phoenix Guard? Phoenix? Tang Xiaofan thought about it carefully and felt that it was unlikely. If an oriental auspicious beast like the phoenix appeared in this world and evolved into a family, would all the races in the continent of gods and demons have a way to survive? Not to mention the local empires in the central area, even the true gods who hold high the kingdom of God would be trampled to death by the phoenix. Even the dimensional demons can't stop it. It shouldn't be the phoenix. The dragons in this world are just flying lizards, lizards flying in the sky, and the phoenix. Tang Xiaofan thought for a moment, and then summoned the great elf Monica. Monica, do you know that there is a 21st level magic beast family called Phoenix Guard in the forest? Hearing Tang Xiaofan's question, Monica nodded and said, reporting to the Lord, the Phoenix Guard family is located on the westernmost side of the forest, high on the top of the Phoenix Mountain. It is the only 21st level magic beast family in this area. Tang Xiaofan asked, how strong is the Phoenix Guard family? Monica replied, I don't know the details. I only know that the patriarch of the Phoenix Guard family is a peak level 21 expert, and there are several level 21 members in the family. I don't know the others. For decades, in order to be promoted to the peak of level 21, she has been staying in the elf tribe for meditation. She doesn't know much about the local forces in the forest. After all, although a few decades is a short time for her, it is enough to change many things. Tang Xiaofan thought for a while and said, what does the Phoenix Guard look like? What does it look like? Monica was stunned. How could she describe it? She hesitated for a moment and replied, the Phoenix Guard is a large bird that radiates light like the sun. Some people call them firebirds, and some people call them sunbirds. After a pause, Monica continued, in fact, the relationship between our elves and the Phoenix Guard is very friendly. Tang Xiaofan asked puzzledly, why? Monica said, I heard from my mother that in ancient times, we natural elves, Phoenix Guards, tree people, unicorns, fairy dragons, and elf dragons were all believers of the goddess. We all serve Her Majesty the goddess. Due to the advent of the ancient god war, Her Majesty the elf goddess suffered heavy losses and sealed herself in an unknown dimension. The Phoenix Guard, like us, has lost the god of faith. With the evolution of the times, Her Majesty the goddess's believers have gone their separate ways. We, the natural elves, established the elf empire in the central area, the tree people entered the wild forest, and the Phoenix Guard settled on the top of the mountains all over the world. Because we once had the same beliefs and the same god of faith, so our natural elves and the Phoenix Guard have always been on a friendly terms. So that's how it is. Tang Xiaofan suddenly realized. No wonder after his black tech castle was upgraded to an advanced town, the Phoenix Guard family increased their friendship value with the black tech castle. This was obviously for the sake of the elf tribe. Of course, it is undeniable that his black tech castle has become powerful enough to make the Phoenix Guard family pay attention to it. Otherwise, why didn't this level 21 Warcraft family show up before? Phoenix Guard, Sunbird, Molters, the same creature. Tang Xiaofan whispered, it's not a phoenix, but it looks like a phoenix. Monica didn't hear Tang Xiaofan's whisper, my lord, why are you suddenly interested in the Phoenix Guard family? As soon as she finished speaking, she was suddenly surprised and said, you don't want to attack the Phoenix Guard's family territory, do you? Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, what's wrong? Monica took a deep breath. As far as Monica knows, over at the Phoenix Mountain, there are thousands of Phoenix Guards. If the Lord attacks rashly, the castle core will inevitably suffer heavy casualties. Heavy casualties do not mean that the attack cannot be taken. Monica believes that with the current strength of the Black Tech Castle, it is completely possible to capture the Phoenix Mountain and kill all the Phoenix Guards there. But it is undeniable that the Black Tech Castle will also suffer heavy casualties, right? Perhaps a Terminator can also capture it, but in that case, it will lose its meaning. Chapter 281 Adding a domain ability to War. Second. She recalled the scene when the magic cannon of the Goblin Kingdom hit the warrior's armor. It seemed that no damage was caused. However, could the attack of the Phoenix family break through the warrior's armor? Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, do you have any good ideas? Monica said respectfully, I'm willing to go to Phoenix Mountain for the Lord. If I can persuade the Phoenix Guard family to surrender, this is the best. If not, I'm afraid that I can only attack by force. Tang Xiaofan shook his head and said, if you want to persuade the Phoenix Guard family to surrender, you don't need to go. Monica said quickly, Lord, I should be the most suitable person. She is the elder of the elf tribe, and her level has reached the peak of level 21. It is most suitable for her to go to Phoenix Mountain. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, someone is more suitable than you. Who? Monica was puzzled. At this time, a figure appeared out of thin air. Monica looked back and said, Mother. As the voice fell, she suddenly understood what the Lord meant. Compared to her, Mother is the most suitable person to go to Phoenix Mountain. With Mother's demigod strength, if those Phoenix Guards are not real, she can directly use violence to solve them. If it were her, she could only grit her teeth and leave, not daring to make a scene in Phoenix Mountain. Lord, the young girl Olivia smiled sweetly at Tang Xiaofan, and then handed Tang Xiaofan a red fruit, as if offering a treasure. This is dragon blood fruit, a very rare spiritual fruit, that can improve people's physical fitness. Is Lord already level 11? Then the dragon blood fruit will be very useful to Lord. Lord, you can still try it, it tastes quite good. Tang Xiaofan took the dragon blood fruit, and took 2 bites. The flesh is sweet and melts in your mouth, and it contains very rich elemental magic. It is indeed a very delicious spiritual fruit, much better than the fresh fruit made by the chef that Tang Xiaofan eats. But this is normal. Olivia is the spirit of the elven mother tree. She is professional in the field of finding spiritual fruits. After all, she can communicate with plants and her consciousness can extend thousands of kilometers through plants. She can easily find any spiritual fruit or magic potion, even if it grows on cliffs. Tang Xiaofan looked at Olivia and asked, you've been out for so long, and you only found a few fruits? The girl Olivia, while chewing the dragon blood fruit, answered, I went to the Treeman Canyon. Tang Xiaofan was puzzled. Treeman Canyon? Treeman Canyon is the territory of the tree people. It is located near the forest giant kingdom. Olivia said, there are not many tree people in the forest, only more than 400, and almost all of them live in the Treeman Canyon. I had a friendly exchange with the tree people there. Finally, they said, when the Lord attacks the forest giant kingdom, they will join your castle army, and help the Lord conquer the forest giant kingdom together. From Olivia's words, it can be inferred that the Treeman Canyon is not friendly with the forest giant kingdom. As for the friendly exchange mentioned by Olivia, Tang Xiaofan suspected that this violent girl beat the tree people in the canyon into submission. Tang Xiaofan ate the last bite of dragon blood fruit. This kind of spiritual fruit does not even have a core, which is magical. He said, Olivia, go to Phoenix Mountain and tell them that I hope the Phoenix Guard family can join my black technology castle and fight for me, and see if they agree. Okay, Lord. The girl Olivia nodded, and then said, what if those big stupid birds refuse? Tang Xiaofan said, then suppress them, and the army will go over, and kill them until they agree. No problem. The girl Olivia smiled sweetly, and then blew up the void and disappeared. Seeing this scene, the big elf Monica on the side, twitched her mouth slightly. The mother is still as hot-tempered as she was back then. Tang Xiaofan actually saw that Olivia was a person who couldn't stay. Since she was promoted to a demigod, and was able to separate from her original body in the elf mother tree, she has let herself go. So Tang Xiaofan was also very reasonable to find something for her to do. It is a waste to keep a demigod level warrior in the castle for a long time. It is better to send her out to do something meaningful. For example, beat the sunbirds in Phoenix Mountain until they surrender. After that, Tang Xiaofan began to count his blueprints. This time, Tang Xiaofan captured nearly 80 blueprints from the Goblin Kingdom and destroyed its kingdom heart. It is the largest blueprint harvest in history. Among them, 47 blueprints were exploded from the goblins of the kingdom on the battlefield. These blueprints are all unknown blueprints that need to be identified. Tang Xiaofan likes to do this kind of thing. He immediately used the identification technique of the castle lord to identify these blueprints one by one. In the end, he harvested 23 blueprints for the evolution of arms and 2 blueprints for the number of arms. In addition to these, there is also a very advanced and rare blueprint, top skill blueprint, gravity field, description. After using this blueprint, gravity effect will appear in your field. Usage restriction level 21st level. It is a very simple attribute description, but a top field reveals its extraordinariness. Domain is the symbol of a level 21 strongman. The greater the power of the domain, the stronger the strength of the level 21 professional. Generally speaking, the duel between level 21s is a collision of domains. The side whose domain is destroyed will be defeated, and may even be seriously injured due to the collapse of the domain, and finally be easily killed by the enemy. Obviously, the domain is the most important thing for a level 21 strongman, and it is also the core. However, most of the domains have only one or two effects. For example, the level 21 domain of the Goblin High Priest has only one effect, which is gravity superposition. Enemies shrouded in the domain will be subjected to dozens or even hundreds of times the gravity. For weak enemies, the Goblin High Priest only needs to release his own gravity domain, and the enemy will immediately be crushed into a blood cake by the terrifying gravity. For example, the domain of the Great Elf Monica has two effects, binding and life devouring. It can bind the enemy trapped in the domain, and then devour the enemy's life force, until the enemy is trapped to death. The flaming dragons that attacked the Black Technology Castle died under the domain of the Great Elf Monica. Dozens of adult flaming dragons were not only unable to escape after being enveloped by Monica's domain, but their own vitality was also quickly devoured, and they soon lost the ability to resist. Even the flaming dragon named Lee was trapped to death by Monica after breaking through in battle and being promoted to level 21. This is the domain. Chapter 280 to the castle's environment changes again. Xana had just been promoted to level 21. His own domain was not yet complete, and he did not know what the effect of his domain was. But no matter what the effect was, it had no effect on his use of this top skill blueprint, the gravity domain work, because it showed domain fusion, rather than domain replacement. In other words, when Xana used it, there would be an extra gravity effect in his domain. Tang Xiaofan had no intention of selling this top skill blueprint, although he knew that, if he sold it, this blueprint would be exchanged for a large number of soul stones. However, he could not give this blueprint away. Xana has two domain effects, namely annihilation and power, plus the gravity obtained after using the blueprint. That's 3 domain effects. Compared with those domains with only 1 or 2 effects, his domain is obviously stronger. In other words, if they are at the same level, Xana can use a great advantage to defeat those level 21 strongmen who only have 1 or 2 effect domains. Hey, will Xana also become invincible at the same level in the future? Tang Xiaofan grinned, and the smile on his face became more and more brilliant. Although he had never thought about going to the battlefield to fight the enemy himself, he was still very happy that his soldiers were stronger. To become the creator of the 10 days creation, you must be tolerant and let your subordinates grow. While talking to himself, Tang Xiaofan's mind moved, and he handed the blueprint to Xana who had been guarding him. Learn it, and you can lead the army better in the future. Xana took the blueprint and learned it calmly. In his opinion, everything given by the Lord was a gift. He only needed to follow the Lord's instructions and complete it with his life. Without hesitation, Xana directly chose the blueprint to use. In an instant, the blueprint turned into a golden light and drilled into his eyebrows. At the same time, Xana also sensed the changes in himself. Especially the magic power in his body seemed to be undergoing some changes. Xana concentrated and calmed down. Carefully sensed the changes in the magic power in his body. I don't know how long it took. Xana suddenly stretched out his right hand and a golden ball of light gradually appeared. As soon as he thought about it, a stone flew into the light ball. In just a moment, the hard stone was crushed. Then, Xana took out a piece of fine iron from the warehouse and threw it in. In the same blink of an eye, the fine iron was torn into pieces and then completely annihilated. I didn't expect it. With the help of the skill blueprint, my own domain has also taken shape. The domain range seems to be only 500 meters, but the attribute effect is still present. Tang Xiaofan nodded with satisfaction. He tried his best to treat the 2 warriors under his command equally. Then, Tang Xiaofan looked at other blueprints. After counting, he put all the wall blueprints and crossbow camp blueprints on the trading channel. These low and medium level defensive building blueprints are of no use to him. It is better to exchange them for some soul stones while they are still valuable. Among the remaining blueprints, 9 are watchtower blueprints. Each blueprint can build 4 watchtowers, totaling 36 watchtowers. The monitoring range of the watchtower is an area with a diameter of 10 kilometers. 36 watchtowers obviously cannot monitor all of his territory, but monitoring 1/3 of the area is no problem at all. When building these watchtowers, they should be slightly dispersed, and it will be almost enough. Tang Xiaofan called Zana and gave him the task of building the watchtower. The 4 existing watchtowers in the Black Technology Castle were built by Zana. Now that this task is given to him, it is also a piece of cake. Yes, my lord. After getting the blueprint, Zana took off on the spot and flew directly out of the castle. And another blueprint appeared in Tang Xiaofan's hand. Advanced Building Blueprint of City Wall. Effect 1. Greatly improve the loyalty of the residents of the castle and appease the people. Greatly enhance the defense capability of the castle. Construction requirements: 10,000 units of stone, 30,000 units of refined iron. The attribute description is also very simple, but there is no doubt that it is more defensive than the existing walls of the Black Technology Castle. After all, one is an advanced building, and the other is an intermediate building. Tang Xiaofan said to Zhang Yi, send this blueprint to Zhang Yi, and then ask him to discuss with Nang Yi to change the current wall. Yes, sir. Zhang Yi did not ask why. The words of the Lord were divine. Soon, the wall of the Black Technology Castle collapsed and turned into ruins. The stones inside did not need to be cleaned. It seemed that Zhang Yi and others chose to build the wall directly on its basis. The next moment, a circle of golden light appeared, surrounding the direct territory of the Black Technology Castle with a diameter of 20 kilometers. A tall stone building could be seen faintly in the golden light. After a few minutes, the golden light dissipated, and a wall thicker, higher, and more magnificent than the wall appeared. The new wall is more than 50 meters high, blue-black in color, with 4 city gates and 16 wall fortresses. In addition, compared with the wall, there are defensive positions reserved on the wall, and the original city defense rapid-fire cannon can be moved directly there. And this time the position is more grand, and larger-scale cannons can be set up. Tang Xiaofan couldn't help but think of the magic cannon in the Sky City. He raised a blueprint in his hand. This blueprint was the blueprint of the small magic cannon. It was exploded with other building blueprints when the kingdom heart of the Goblin Kingdom was destroyed. Equipment blueprint, small magic cannon. Description: the blacksmith will master the technology of building a small magic cannon. Material consumed for each magic cannon: 1 soul stone. Without thinking too much, Tang Xiaofan directly handed the blueprint to the beautiful elf blacksmith Igita. Let her learn the technology of building the magic cannon first. As for building the magic cannon, there is no rush for the time being. After all, it takes soul stones to build a magic cannon, and the power of the magic cannon is just so-so, not as good as the solid and reliable close-in defense cannon. The key is that Jarvis can control the close-in defense cannon through the network and achieve the effect of hitting wherever he points. In other words, the difference between the 2 types of artillery is not in power, but in the generational difference. The magic cannon cannot be connected to the network and can only rely on Jarvis's calculations to estimate the trajectory. The close-in defense cannon is an extension of Jarvis's computing power, and the damage caused by the 2 cannot be mentioned in the same breath. Moreover, the characteristic of the close-in defense cannon is its fast firing rate. Under the coverage of high-speed firepower, Jarvis's computing power can be maximized, and no damage will be wasted at all. Therefore, Tang Xiaofan decided to hand over the magic cannon to the elf blacksmith and let her make a backup. At this time, Tang Xiaofan suddenly felt something, and opened the friend information. It was the little girl who contacted him, and brought Tang Xiaofan a good news. Big brother, the elf sister, and that weird uncle came to Kenna's castle. Grandpa Moore said he was a magician. Big brother, the weird uncle looks so scary. But the weird uncle is a pretty good person. By the way, big brother, I have good news for you. Kenna revealed the blueprint of the space teleportation magic circle. Chapter 283 New Space Portal Blueprint. Dark Elves and Necromancers. This combination appeared in the Black Iron Dwarf Castle of the Little Lolly. When Tang Xiaofan heard the news, his first reaction was that his money back had come. It was possible to upgrade the farmer's factory to level 6 before 12 o'clock today. However, the surprise was not over yet. The little lolly actually claimed that she had exploded the blueprint of the space teleportation magic array. This made Tang Xiaofan a little stunned, and then he smiled. Sure enough, the lucky little lolly would never lose the favor of the goddess of luck, just because she grew up a few days. Her heaven-defying luck is still online. You know, Tang Xiaofan has been looking for the blueprint of the space teleportation magic array for many days. No matter whether it is the trading channel or the friend request, there is no news of this blueprint, which makes him almost think that the blueprint of the super space teleportation magic array is harder to explode than the holy weapon. However, not long after he told the little lolly, she exploded this blueprint. Such a luck value is so terrifying that it is suffocating. Tang Xiaofan asked curiously, Kenna, how did you get the space teleportation magic circle blueprint? Well, it wasn't Kenna who got it, big brother. The little girl replied, this morning, Kenna was still sleeping. I heard from Uncle Xavier that a Cyclops wanted to break into the castle, but was shot dead by the dwarf archers stationed on the Arrow Tower, and then this blueprint was revealed. Cyclops, one of the famous evil creatures in the underground world, is as famous as a human-faced spider and second only to the Dark Elves. A lone Cyclops broke into the Black Iron Dwarf castle and was shot dead, and a rare space teleportation magic circle blueprint was revealed. Tang Xiaofan was silent for a long time. He wanted to say that this Cyclops came here specially to give away heads and blueprints. But this feeling is very weird. Forget it, he didn't think about it anymore. Anyway, as long as the lucky events that happened to the little girl, they were always weird, and he was used to it. What's so strange about a little girl who can reveal blueprints by stepping on a mouse, and who can reveal architectural blueprints of space teleportation magic arrays by killing a notorious and powerful evil creature like the Cyclops? As for the gift mentioned by the little girl, the skeleton lizard from the necromancer should be a bone dragon of the undead race if nothing unexpected happens. To be honest, the little girl's charm is really terrifying, so strong that even the necromancer can't resist it, and he wants to give a bone dragon when they meet. Of course, we still need to be vigilant whether the necromancer has any other conspiracy. After all, it is not excessive to guard against dark and undead professionals like the necromancer who deal with corpses, souls, and evil creatures all year round. No one knows what kind of soul is hidden under the creepy appearance of the necromancer. Tang Xiaofan immediately said excitedly, Kenna, you build the space teleportation magic array in your castle, and then give me the crystal mark of the teleportation array. Wow, that's great. I'm going to see you soon. Can Kenna see you soon? Tang Xiaofan was also very excited. Yes. I'll come over when you build the teleportation array. Little lolly yes, okay, big brother, Kenna will build it right away. Big brother, Kenna is so happy. After such a long time, Kenna can finally see you. Tang Xiaofan was all smiles. He liked the little lolly very much. He was also looking forward to the upcoming meeting. In the Dark Iron Dwarf castle, the little lolly said excitedly to the old dwarf, Grandpa Moore tells you a very good news. You will come to Kenna's castle soon. Uncle Xavier, elf sister, undead uncle, big brother is coming to see Kenna. The little lolly was so happy that she ran around in the hall of the dwarf palace excitedly. The next second, she seemed to remember something and ran out of the hall with cheers and shouts. Well, she has to build the teleportation array quickly, otherwise the master won't be able to come. Inside the hall, two dwarves and a dark elf, Uncle Weird Undead. The necromancer touched his almost sunken face and grinned. I like this name. The charming dark elf asked curiously, what kind of castle lord is that? Xavier, the dwarf who had already been promoted to level 20, said solemnly. Princess Kenna said that the castle lord is the most powerful among hundreds of castle lords. I firmly believe that he is a legendary castle lord. Legendary? The dark elf smiled non-committally. She shook her head and said, the castle forces from another world have come to our god and demon continent. It has only been 10 days. How strong can the strongest castle lord be? Calling him a legend is a bit exaggerated, said the dark elf. The dwarf Xavier looked at her. Are you so sure? The dark elf smiled and said, yesterday, when the dark curtain fell, I led the city guards to destroy a castle force. He claimed to be the top castle lord, standing at the top of hundreds of castle lords. It is undeniable that his development speed is indeed very fast. The castle troops under his command are all cyclops with pure blood. But for my city guards, his castle strength is still too weak. His strongest troop is only in the middle stage of level 20. When she said this, she glanced at the dwarf Xavier, because the dwarf Xavier was at the middle stage of level 20. There was a trace of contempt in her eyes. The dwarf Xavier also felt it, but he was not angry, because he knew that this dark elf from the Blood Moon state was a strong man in the late stage of level 21. The late stage of level 21 despises the mid-level 20th level. Isn't that normal? The dwarf Xavier said seriously. The strength of the lord of the legendary castle must be even stronger, at least reaching level 21. Influenced by the little Lali, the dwarf Xavier has become an admirer of Tang Xiaofan. He firmly believes that Tang Xiaofan's strength must be very terrifying. The dark elf shook his head. How strong can he be? The dwarf Xavier said, he killed a group of flaming dragons and a level 21 skeleton king. Hearing this, the dark elf was silent for a moment, and then said, I admit that I missed this point. There must be a level 21 strongman in his castle. However, even so, his castle is far weaker than our Blood Moon state. The dwarf Xavier rolled his eyes. The Blood Moon state is a city built by the dark elves in this area. There are 30,000 to 40,000 dark elves living in the city. There are 3 level 21 strongmen on the surface. According to Saint Mua's estimate, the real number of level 21 strongmen in the Blood Moon state may be 5. The most powerful one is the city lord of the Blood Moon state, who is at the peak of level 21. It is normal for a dark elf force that has developed in this area for hundreds of years to have so many level 21 troops. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284, The Unique Power of the Castle Lord. Seeing the mocking expression on the dwarf Xavier's face, the dark elf was a little angry and reached for the dagger at her waist reflexively. But the next second, her movement stopped again, and she finally turned her head away, pretending not to see it. Because there was an old dwarf with terrifying strength in the hall, the necromancer on the side said hoarsely, it's meaningless to argue about this, and you'll know when he comes. By the way, his castle is on the surface world. How to get here? As soon as the voice fell, a brilliant golden light shone outside the hall, and several people walked out. They saw the castle space not far away, shrouded in a golden light, and in the golden light, they could vaguely see the silhouette of a building. It looks a bit like a space teleportation magic array. I see. With a space teleportation magic array, it only takes a moment to go from the surface world to the underground world. TSK. With only one blueprint, a space teleportation magic array was built. If it were our local forces, it would take half a month just to engrave the space magic runes in it. This is the power of the lord of the castle. The magical power from another world. Several people looked at the teleportation array building that gradually appeared in the golden light, and they all sighed at the magic of the power from another world. Whether it was the necromancer, the dark elf, or the dwarf Xavier and the old dwarf Moore, they were all native intelligent creatures of the god and demon continent. They had their own life experiences, and some had lived for hundreds of years, so they were surprised when they saw this magical power. If it were the Black Iron Dwarves recruited by the little Lali, they would not feel strange, but would naturally think that this was a miracle from the lord of the castle. Wait, after the space teleportation magic circle is built, the castle lord on the surface will come. Yeah. Black Technology Castle. After finishing the chat with the little Lolly, Tang Xiaofan took out a large stack of blueprints, a total of 25. These 25 blueprints are divided into two types. One is the Army Evolution Blueprint, 23. The other is the Army Quantity Blueprint, 2. These blueprints are all the gains of the castle army on the battlefield of the Goblin Kingdom. I almost forgot, there is another Evolution Blueprint. Tang Xiaofan flipped his right hand, and another army evolution blueprint appeared in his hand. This is an intermediate army evolution blueprint, which comes from the gains of the elf army and their tribe. In addition to a low-level evolution blueprint given to the Great Elf Monarcha, this intermediate evolution blueprint was kept by him. Since there was only one before, Tang Xiaofan did not find anyone to use it. Now take them out, a total of 24 arms evolution blueprints, including 3 advanced arms evolution blueprints, 7 intermediate arms evolution blueprints, and 14 low-level arms evolution blueprints. Tang Xiaofan called Zhena and Zhenyi, and handed the 24 arms evolution blueprints to them respectively. You distribute them, see which brother? Go, I'll wait for your good news. Praise you, Almighty Lord. Zhenyi and Zhena saluted excitedly and respectfully. Then they turned around to distribute them. Not long after, a group of farmers and soldiers came to the farmer's factory and chose to use the evolution blueprints in their hands at the same time. Soon, they were all wrapped in dazzling golden light and finally turned into golden light balls, suspended in the air. Tang Xiaofan didn't pay too much attention and turned to look at the remaining 2 blueprints in his hand, the arms quantity blueprints. It must be said that this is the first time he has harvested 2 arms quantity blueprints at the same time. In the past, they came one by one, and the explosion rate was very low. At least until now, he has used no more than 5 arms quantity blueprints. In this war with the Goblin Kingdom, 2 drawings of the number of arms were revealed at once. It must be said that his luck was still good. Of course, this was directly related to the scale of the war. You should know that in this war with the Goblin Kingdom, there were 70,000 to 80,000 goblins killed by Tang Xiaofan's castle army. Among them were 2 level 21 strongmen, dozens of level 20 goblins, and hundreds of level 18 lord goblins. The scale of the war was large, the enemy was strong, and the things that were revealed were naturally sufficient and good enough. 2 drawings of the number of arms. 1 low level, 1 mid level. Tang Xiaofan did not hesitate. Suddenly, the drawings dissipated, turned into 2 pieces of golden light, appeared in the air in front of him. Then, balls of light flew out from the 2 pieces of golden light. In less than a moment, a large number of balls of light gathered in the air in front of Tang Xiaofan, and flew to the elf mother tree. There were about 40 or 50 of them. When the golden light disappeared, the number of light balls was determined. 50. 2 drawings of the number of arms, 1 low level and 1 mid level, together bred the same number of elves as the number of summons of the elf mother tree in one day. It didn't seem like much, but it was actually very good. After all, these 50 elves were free. Soon after, the light balls suspended in the air and staying between the leaves of the elf mother tree broke one after another and appeared in Tang Xiaofan's field of vision. Tang Xiaofan looked up and checked the situation of the elves. Soon, his expression was stunned and his pupils suddenly dilated. 50 elves, or ordinary elves. Tang Xiaofan was a little confused, thinking to himself, has his luck value returned to 0? I have to say that his luck is really not good. You know, that's 50 elves. If calculated according to the probability of the elf mother tree, the probability of the birth of a special elf this time is 0. Tang Xiaofan looked at the holy suit he had just put on. In order to have good luck, he put it on directly, because this suit has a special effect that increases the luck of the wearer. In layman's terms, it is a lucky outfit. But what he didn't expect was that after putting on this holy suit, he became unlucky. At this time, Tang Xiaofan wanted to call Ieter over to ask, is this holy suit called the blessing of natural elves or the jealousy of the elf goddess? Join the team and work hard. Tang Xiaofan took a deep breath. He said to the newly bred elves in front of him, although his luck was a little worse this time and he didn't breed a special elf, he would not be angry about it. At most, he would just sigh. Besides, which of the elves' growth potential is worse than the top castle lord's troops? He got 50 demigod level troops for free. What else could he be dissatisfied with? Tang Xiaofan comforted himself like this. After the new elves respectfully withdrew, Tang Xiaofan cast his eyes on the 5 light balls floating around the farmer's factory. He finally cleared all the gains from the attack on the Goblin Kingdom. He used what should be used, sold what should be sold, and stored what should be stored. In the end, only the evolution of the warriors and farmers was left. After hesitating for a moment, Tang Xiaofan still did not take off the saint level suit of the natural elves. Chapter 285 Becoming a demigod is easy. Will it bring luck or bad luck? Give it another chance. At this moment, Tang Xiaofan suddenly found that the 5 light balls that wrapped the farmers began to tremble. It's over so soon. Tang Xiaofan's heart jumped. Battle 1 and Battle 2 took several times longer. This time, the 5 farmers evolved together. It's impossible to end so quickly. Are they all declared failures? Just as this thought came up, Tang Xiaofan suddenly found that the 5 light balls were trembling more violently. The light emitted by the 5 light balls was very strangely intertwined with each other, and finally completely merged into a complete and very huge light ball, which not only wrapped his 5 farmers and soldiers, but also a part of the farmer's factory. What's going on? Tang Xiaofan was very surprised. This was the first time such a situation had occurred. Of course, in the past, because he had too few drawings for the evolution of the arms, he chose to let the soldiers evolve one after another, so this situation would not occur. This time, the 5 warriors evolved together, and the mutation occurred. Tang Xiaofan summoned Zhang Yi to ask, but Zhang Yi said that he didn't know why this happened. There was nothing he could do. Tang Xiaofan could only wait for the evolution of the warriors. During the waiting process, the little loli also built a space teleportation magic circle and sent the crystal mark to Tang Xiaofan. However, Tang Xiaofan did not go to the little loli's castle immediately, but continued to wait for the end of this mutation. I don't know how long it took. Finally, the giant light ball trembled again. Then it began to crack, and dazzling golden light was released from the cracks. At the same time, there was an amazingly powerful breath. It was stronger than the angel breath on Zhana. You must know that Zhana is the highest level warrior under Tang Xiaofan before, second only to the demigods and Yi. Stronger than his breath, Zhana took a breath and whispered in shock, "What is this?" Hearing Zhana's whisper, Tang Xiaofan's heart also trembled, and he didn't expect that this time the evolution mutation would actually have unexpected changes. It's definitely super evolution. Tang Xiaofan knew that the blueprint had a very low probability of enabling the castle soldiers to achieve super evolution. At the beginning, Zhana used a high-level soldier evolution blueprint to achieve super evolution of bloodline genes, and directly evolved from an ordinary farmer to a demigod potential. This time, Tang Xiaofan took a look at the natural elf's blessing on the holy suit on his body. Can this suit really bring him luck? Or is it that the luck he brought by using the blueprint just now was transferred to the evolution of the warriors, and the result? He was just unlucky, but now he is lucky. Luck mysterious. It makes sense, no matter how you say it. Tang Xiaofan shook his head, not thinking about luck, only focusing on the evolution of the 5 warriors. As time passed, there are more and more cracks on the giant light ball. The breath released from it is getting stronger and stronger, and there is a very terrifying magic power emanating. Even Tang Xiaofan felt oppressed. This wave of magic power far exceeded what he felt at the beginning of level 21. At this time, a figure appeared beside Tang Xiaofan. He turned around and saw that it was the extremely beautiful elf Monica. She looked at the giant ball of light that was constantly breaking apart with envy in her expression and eyes. Tang Xiaofan said, "What's wrong?" Monica stared at the light ball intently and said, "Envy. Why?" Monica said with emotion, reporting to the Lord, "I have practiced for hundreds of years to reach the peak of level 21. And the farmer under the Lord has reached this realm in just 20 days. I'm very envious. Even jealous. Peak of level 21. Tang Xiaofan sensed the breath emanating from the light ball and said, "No wonder the strength of magic power is so amazing. Dozens of times stronger than the initial level 21. After a pause, he smiled and said to Monica, "This is also with the help of the evolutionary blueprint." Monica sighed and said, "Lord, after using the evolutionary blueprint, I only got a little bit of magic power increase, and it is still a long way to go before I can be promoted to a demigod." Tang Xiaofan looked at her, and his mind moved, and Monica's information immediately appeared in his field of vision. Monica, natural elf, identity, the great elder of the forest elf tribe, current growth status, adult, level, peak of level 21, loyalty, -100. Points growth potential limit, demigod level natural elves, Special reminder, after successfully obtaining bloodline evolution, natural elves have a chance to become ancient great elves. Last night, Monica successfully achieved bloodline evolution with the help of Olivia, the spirit of the elf mother tree. For a 21st level potential soldier, even if it is just a low level evolution blueprint, the success rate is as high as 80%. So Tang Xiaofan was not surprised by Monica's successful evolution. Unfortunately, Monica failed to become an ancient great elf during the evolution process. If she could become an ancient great elf, Monica's strength might have exploded. But in the end, Monica was not so lucky. Now she is still a natural elf. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Don't worry, now your growth potential limit has entered the demigod realm. As long as the number of enemies killed is large enough and strong enough, it is very easy for you to be promoted to a demigod." As he spoke, he thought of Olivia. Then he added, in order to ignite the divine fire and break through the demigod level, he failed hundreds of times before he succeeded. Wait until the energy value obtained exceeds your current limit of the peak level 21. It is very easy to ignite the divine fire. You can easily be promoted to a demigod with a longer life and more powerful power. Yes. Monica nodded and said respectfully and gratefully, "This is the favor from the Lord. Praise you." Tang Xiaofan waved his hand. Then he cast the light on the supergiant light ball. Large and small cracks have covered the entire light ball. Countless golden lights burst out from those cracks, making the light ball extremely dazzling. After a long time, the light ball finally broke and shattered, and 5 warriors appeared in Tang Xiaofan's field of vision. But the next moment, Tang Xiaofan's expression was stunned. The 5 people were all level 20. What's going on? This evolution, it went so smoothly beyond my imagination. It even gave me a big surprise. But, what's going on with that terrifying aura? The 5 warriors looked at each other after hearing Tang Xiaofan's question, and the 5 of them held hands and formed a circle. This time, the aura of the peak of level 21 appeared again. Chapter 286. Start the research work of giant armor. Seeing this scene, Tang Xiaofan's face was full of smiles. This is because of the mutual understanding, and we can join forces. 5 people fighting together are comparable to the peak strength of level 21. Jarvis, I suddenly have an idea. I wonder if it is in your database. Yes, sir. Please speak. A large armor controlled by 5 people. 5 people working together can drive a huge armor. Sir, what you said is similar to the anti-Hulk armor, but on a larger scale? Yes. The anti-Hulk armor is an enhancement based on the Mark armor, and the armor idea proposed by Tang Xiaofan is a kind of armor idea that was figured out based on the situation of the 5 people joining forces. If you want to make an analogy, it is more like Ant-Man enlarged by using Pym particles. Jarvis, put this plan on file for continued research. When the farmer's factory is upgraded, there should be a stronger technical force. Let's do the initial research first. Sir, do we need to start the research on Pym particles? No, not for now. I just want to build a big one. Yes, although Pym particles are very powerful, for Tang Xiaofan, the current resources are too scarce, and the limited resources must be used well. For example, the iron armor is a machine gun, which can easily kill the opponent, so there is no need to invent a laser gun, which is a waste of resources. On the contrary, the large-scale armor is not only combat power but also deterrent, which is enough to scare the natives of the god and demon continent. Arrange the plan well, and 5 warriors appeared in front of Tang Xiaofan, saluting respectfully and fanatically. What happened just now? Tang Xiaofan asked. Why did your evolutionary light balls merge together, and what is going on inside? Several warriors looked at each other, and it was obvious that they didn't understand the reason. One of the warriors said respectfully, during the evolution process, I only felt the energy injected into the evolutionary light ball where I was, and then I found that our evolutionary light balls merged. But soon, I realized that the energy of evolution was rapidly decreasing, so I had no choice but to use all the evolutionary drawings. Me too. Me too. The other warriors nodded one after another, indicating that they had the same experience. They also felt the energy reduction, so they did not dare to hesitate, and used all the evolutionary drawings, which barely maintained their evolutionary state. In the end, they were very lucky to complete the blood evolution and awaken the art of joining forces. Tang Xiaofan frowned. This time, the evolutionary mutation came a little strange. It can be said that it happened suddenly. Neither he nor the several warriors who evolved knew what caused this evolutionary mutation. Tang Xiaofan looked at the holy suit he was wearing again, the blessing of the natural elves. He suspected that this was a simple accidental lucky event. As for whether it was the case, he would know it after another test when the number of evolutionary drawings increased. Thinking of this, he did not delve into it. Although the evolution of the 5 warriors consumed all the more than 20 high, medium and low level evolutionary drawings, the rewards were still very generous. It was totally worth it. Tang Xiaofan did not feel any pain at all. What is a blueprint? It is not as important as the big Gundam. Imagine a giant armor controlled by 5 people working together to open the way, with a huge sky fortress behind them, and then other steel armor guards, rumbling all the way forward. This scene is simply too gorgeous. Stopping his imagination, Tang Xiaofan began to prepare for the underground journey. Dark Iron Dwarf Castle. Tang Xiaofan began to call the roll, guide, Zanyi, Zana, and Monica. The 4 of you will go to the underground world with me. All matters of the Black Technology Castle are subject to Nanyi's command. Yes, my almighty lord, my almighty lord. The warriors and the elves saluted respectfully. After that, Tang Xiaofan led his 4 men to the castle's space teleportation magic circle. When they came near the teleportation circle, Tang Xiaofan input the crystal mark given to him by the little lolly, and then activated the teleportation circle. Suddenly, a terrifying force penetrated the space and quickly set up a space channel. When Tang Xiaofan and others walked into the teleportation circle, their figures disappeared instantly. There were a total of 5 people on this trip, among whom the demigod Zanyi and the other 3 were all level 21. The strength of their small team is absolutely powerful to the point of being terrifying. The strength of the 5 of them alone is enough to destroy local forces like the Goblin Kingdom. Therefore, Tang Xiaofan is not worried about his own safety. Another point is that, even if he encounters an impossible crisis, he can ask the guide to directly summon the big mushroom and end everything. The Dark Iron Dwarf Castle. In the castle yard, the little lolly tilted her little head, staring at the teleportation circle with her big eyes without blinking. There is a feeling of looking forward to it, the little girl muttered. He hasn't come yet. Is there something wrong with the space teleportation array built by Kera? Or is there something wrong with the crystal mark? The old dwarf Mer's face twitched a few times, and he said helplessly, Your Highness, you have said the same thing 25 times. Don't worry, I have checked the teleportation array 18 times and the crystal mark 14 times, and there is no problem. The little girl muttered again, Why hasn't the master come? The old dwarf Mer's face twitched again. The little girl repeated this sentence 33 times. The little girl kept repeating the same words in his ears, and his head hurt a little. Sister, do you think the master doesn't want to see Kera anymore? The dark elf's mouth twitched slightly, and he repeated the answer not long ago. How could that be? He must like it. Maybe he was temporarily delayed by something. Yeah, the little lolly nodded, and continued to look at the teleportation array in front of her eagerly. In fact, the dark elves were not impatient at all. Except for the dwarf Xavier, the old dwarf, the dark elf sister Moore, the undead magician Weird Uncle and the other 3 were all level 21 strong men. Not to mention waiting for an hour or 2, even waiting for a day or 2 would not shake their state of mind. For a level 21 strong man with a lifespan of thousands of years, this amount of time is nothing at all. It's just that the little lawless nagging voice would appear in their ears from time to time, and she asked them the same question dozens of times, which made them a little unbearable. At this moment, a dazzling golden light suddenly appeared in the teleportation array in front of them. Seeing this scene, the 3 level 21 strong men from different camps breathed a sigh of relief. It's finally here. Not long after, several figures appeared in the teleportation array, led by a young man wearing an exquisite silver white suit. The Saint class suit perfectly highlights Tang Xiaofan's handsome appearance and slender figure, and also greatly enhances Tang Xiaofan's own charm. Behind Tang Xiaofan is a beautiful woman, the great elf Monica, and then 2 steel warriors. This combination makes Tang Xiaofan, the leader, even more dazzling. Chapter 287. I finally met little lolly Kenna. As for the guide, who was teleported here, he entered the void world the moment he landed, and his presence could not be sensed. Only after being locked by him would there be a sense of crisis. Big brother? The little lola's eyes fell on Tang Xiaofan for the first time. Her surprised shout suddenly turned into a trembling whisper before she could say it out loud. The eager waiting just now turned into uneasiness and anxiety at this moment, and there was a little nervousness. She was a little afraid to get close. In short, this was the first time she saw Tang Xiaofan, and she was very unfamiliar. Killer. Tang Xiaofan also saw the little lolly. She was wearing a small leather jacket, her face was delicate and beautiful, her hair was neatly combed, and she had a few small braids, but they were a little messy and asymmetrical. It should be the little girl herself. During this period, the little lolly has been learning to make equipment with the old dwarf more. The little face was grey from morning to night. After knowing that Tang Xiaofan was coming, the little lolly rushed to clean herself up from head to toe, wanting to leave a good impression on his wife. Hearing Tang Xiaofan's call, the timidity and uneasiness on the little girl's face quickly turned into surprise, and her big black eyes were shining. Big brother. The little girl shouted in surprise. She ran towards Tang Xiaofan without hesitation, and hung on Tang Xiaofan like a koala. The strange feeling had disappeared, replaced by a familiar feeling. Big brother, Kenna finally sees you. The big elf Monica wanted to stop the little girl when she ran over, but she gave up in the end. She felt joy from the master. Tang Xiaofan touched the little girl's head and said with a smile, "You are really a child." The little girl raised her head, blinked her big watery eyes, and looked at him, and said coquettishly, "No, I'm not a child anymore." Tang Xiaofan laughed and looked at Kenna's hair. The little girl shook the long braids on her head and said, "This is Kenna's own braid. In the past, my mother braided Kenna's braids. After my mother left, Kenna learned to braid her hair." Speaking of her family, the little girl was a little sad, but soon she became happy again, holding Tang Xiaofan's hand and never letting go. She was still humming a song in her little mouth, looking very excited. She didn't even notice that the elf sister she had been thinking about was standing next to her. In the eyes of the little girl, there was only her Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan held the little girl's hand and walked towards the old dwarf Mer and others. The expressions of the few people were different. The dwarf Zevi was in awe, secretly thinking that he was indeed worthy of being the lord of the legendary castle. He had descended for only 20 days, and his subordinates were already level 21. It was incredible. The old dwarf Mer was shocked, and was shocked by the 3 level 21 peak masters behind Tang Xiaofan. The necromancer was alert. He hated the 2 steel warriors. The aura they exuded made him feel very uncomfortable, even frightened. The dark elf was full of resentment. Since Tang Xiaofan descended, her eyes have never left the great elf Monica. In her eyes, in addition to resentment, there was also murderous intent. HMM. Tang Xiaofan snorted lightly and looked at the dark elf coldly. The dark elf immediately came back to his senses. A brilliant smile appeared on her enchanting and beautiful face, and this smile was obviously a gift to Tang Xiaofan. At this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly made a move, waved his right hand, and a brilliant holy light descended instantly. Then, the dark elf cried out in pain, and involuntarily stepped back a few steps, and her enchanting cheeks turned pale. The necromancer beside her reacted quickly, and a ball of black mist appeared around his body, covering him. The black mist was illuminated by Zhang Yi's holy light, and suddenly there was a sizzling sound, and bursts of white smoke were emitted. It was the result of being purified by the holy light. Bold heretic. Zhang Yi stared at the dark elf expressionlessly and said, "You dare to blaspheme the Lord. Only your blood can atone for your sins." As Zhang Yi's voice fell, a blood-red holy sword suddenly appeared in the void. This was a skill that Zhang Yi had comprehended at level 21. Now that he was using it at the level of a demigod, it was even more powerful. The bloodthirsty sword he released now was unprecedentedly powerful. Even if he couldn't kill the dark elf in the late level 21 directly, he could still injure her severely. "Stop. I have no ill intentions." The dark elf screamed in fear, her face turning green with fear. She never expected that she would encounter a death calamity just by giving the castle lord a look and then releasing her spirit charm skill passively. It was really unfair. Zhang Yi, stop. Tang Xiaofan waved his hand, and the bloodthirsty sword condensed and the void slowly disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone present breathed a sigh of relief, especially the dark elf and the necromancer. Both of their faces were twitching, feeling a lingering fear. Before, the dark elf claimed that Tang Xiaofan's castle was weak and didn't take it seriously. She finally experienced what it meant to be the strongest person among hundreds of castle lords. If Tang Xiaofan hadn't stopped her just now, she would have been very likely to be in trouble. Even if she used her own domain, it would be difficult for her to escape unscathed. After all, she was only a late level 21, and behind Tang Xiaofan was a strong man who seemed to be at the peak of level 21, which made it impossible for her to sense the other party's strength. Such a result could only mean that the other party's strength was far beyond her imagination. She had no ideas now, and her only idea was to leave the castle quickly. Before Tang Xiaofan returned to the surface world, she would never come to play with the little lolly. It's too dangerous. Tang Xiaofan looked at the pale-faced dark elf and smiled. My name is Tang Xiaofan, the owner of the Black Technology Castle in the surface world. And you, Lady Dark Elf? The dark elf looked at Zhang Yi with some fear, and then said, Dear Lord, my name is Karara, the dark elf of the Blood Moon State. Karara Blood Moon State? Tang Xiaofan smiled faintly. Do you have a grudge against my elf moniker? Dark elf Karara hurriedly said, My lord, please forgive me. I just remembered some past events. I have no hatred towards your elves. Tang Xiaofan said, Speak. Dark elf Karara's mouth twitched slightly. In desperation, she had to tell the truth. Dark elves and natural elves are natural enemies. Is there such a thing? Tang Xiaofan looked at the big elf Monica behind him. Monica shook her head and said, The dark elves are too stubborn. According to my mother, our natural elves have been trying to accept dark elves, but have never received a kind response. Natural elves are as hypocritical as ever. Facing Monica, a natural elf, dark elf Karara was not so polite. She sneered and said, The first queen of the natural elf empire exiled our dark elves to the evil swamp, and finally expelled us to the dark underground world. Chapter 288 The powerful castle lord is unfathomable. You natural elves will forget this grudge, but we, the dark elves, will never forget it. If it weren't for you hypocritical natural elves, how could we, the dark elves, have fallen to the point of competing for territory with those humble underground creatures? The dark elf Karara became more and more angry as she spoke, and finally even roared. The great elven goddess once said that the daytime of the continent of gods and demons belongs to the natural elves, and the blood moon belongs to us dark elves. But what was the result? As soon as the elven goddess left, the hypocritical natural elves deprived us of the power to shine the glory of the blood moon. Looking at the angry dark elves, the great elf Monica frowned and said, I don't know about the grudges in ancient times. I only know that our elf tribe has no hatred for the dark elves and regards you as our tribe members. The dark elf Karara looked uncertain. She saw seriousness and sincerity in Monica's expression. Is it true? No. How could it be true? Natural elves are always hypocritical. The natural elves just want to deceive their trust and then lure them to the surface world to kill them in the name of eliminating evil creatures in the world. Thinking of this, the dark elf Karara wanted to sneer, but when she saw Tang Xiaofan's eyes, she swallowed the words that were just on her lips. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, Let's not talk about the grievances between the natural elves and the dark elves. The forest elf tribe is my power and has nothing to do with the natural elf empire. As he said, he turned his eyes to the undead magician. Without Tang Xiaofan speaking, the undead magician immediately said, My name is Theodore. I have lived in this dark underground world for many years. It is my honor to meet you. What an honor. Theodore wanted to turn around and leave, because he always felt that there were 3 pairs of eyes staring at him. 2 pairs came from the 2 warriors in steel armor behind Tang Xiaofan, and 1 pair came from the unknown void world. This made him shudder. Although his level was as high as the peak of level 21, he also had several level 21 bone dragons, ghost dragons and a large-scale undead army. Such a powerful strength was enough to make him respect the Dark Elves in the Blood Moon state. But he doubted that the owner of the 3 pairs of eyes could kill him in seconds. This was a feeling he had never had before. Even the old dwarf Mer could make him feel threatened, but not so strongly. What frightened him the most was that, if the relationship between the Dark Elves and the natural elves still had room for easing, then the relationship between the evil undead and the holy light was the kind that could never be reconciled. They were real mortal enemies. These 2 steel warriors probably wanted to kill him, the undead magician. If Tang Xiaofan hadn't been there, he would have been surrounded. Tang Xiaofan, on the other hand, didn't care about Theodore's identity as an undead magician. After all, he was a human being, and a human from another world. He didn't have the kind of deep-seated hostility towards undead magicians, but on the contrary, he was very interested in them. Because in his opinion, undead magicians were a very magical profession. Being able to resurrect dead creatures and reincarnate them into undead creatures and being able to manipulate the souls of creatures is very strange. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, I heard that you want to buy my flaming dragon corpses and the holy relics of the dead. I have this idea. The necromancer Theodore answered hesitantly. If he could trade normally, he could buy the dragon corpse and the holy relics of the dead. The key problem is that he is not confident in his own strength now, and he is afraid that his life will be in danger. He is also worried about being robbed by Tang Xiaofan. This kind of thing is very common in the underground world. Even he often robs others. He doesn't have to pay anything, but on the contrary, he can get treasures from others. Isn't this a good thing? As a necromancer, he is very good at doing this kind of thing. So he is worried that Tang Xiaofan will also give him such a trick. Tang Xiaofan didn't think so much. If the necromancer is willing to make this deal with him, he will be very happy. His farmer factory was just a little short of soul stones to upgrade to level 6. Tang Xiaofan said, what price are you going to give me? After a pause, he continued, if the price satisfies me, I will also give you the corpse of a mid-level 21 dark dragon, freshly killed, and still very fresh. The black dragon corpse was naturally the dark dragon, Darcy, who guarded the Goblin Kingdom. Now, its corpse is stored in the warehouse of the Black Technology Castle. A mid-level 21 black dragon corpse? The necromancer Theodore suddenly widened his eyes and looked at Tang Xiaofan in surprise. What kind of hatred and grudge does this castle lord from the surface world have with the dragon clan? Not long ago, this castle lord killed more than 20 flame dragons, and now he has killed a mid-level 21 dark dragon, and the corpse is still fresh. The dark elf carer next to him was also trembling. The mid-level 21 and her late level 21 are only one level apart. She is panicking now. The necromancer Theodore took a deep breath, and his body trembled slightly. It was not fear, but excitement. Once he got the bodies of those dragons, he would be rich, and could quickly form a bone dragon army, and his strength would soar. Theodore hurriedly said to Tang Xiaofan, Lord, the corpse of a dragon of level 18 is 600 soul stones, and the corpse of a dragon of level 20 is 3000 soul stones. The corpse of a dragon of level 21 is 5 times more expensive than that of a dragon of level 20. What do you think? The necromancer Theodore looked at Tang Xiaofan expectantly, as if he was expecting Tang Xiaofan to agree to make this deal. Tang Xiaofan's face was calm. He was thinking about whether this deal was worth it. To be honest, he didn't know much about the trading of goods in the mainland of the gods and demons. He could only feel it himself. Considering his own current situation, he felt that, if he made a profit, he made a profit. At this time, the old dwarf Moor, who had never spoken, coughed lightly, attracting Tang Xiaofan's attention. When Tang Xiaofan looked over, the old dwarf Mer smiled at Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan suddenly realized that the price offered by the necromancer Theodore was a bit low. Maybe it should be doubled to be a reasonable price. The price given by the old dwarf Mer was considered a fair price. Hearing the words of the old dwarf Mer, the necromancer Theodore took a breath of cold air and quickly retorted, it can't be sold at such a high price in the human empire. The old dwarf Mer said sternly, you are lying to me. I have been to the human empire. If those dragon corpses are transported there, the price can be multiplied several times. It is precisely because they cannot be transported there that you have picked up a big bargain. The corner of the necromancer Theodore's mouth twitched slightly. The price is too high. Even in the Chaos City, the corpse of a level 20 dragon is only sold for 2,000 soulstones. Chapter 289. The necromancer forced to make crazy purchases. The old dwarf Mer insisted and shook his head and said, "It's not easy to buy dragon corpses in the Chaos City, not to mention that there are more than 10 dragon corpses, 2 of which are level 21 dragons." Theodore's face turned green, and he tightly grasped the bone staff in his hand. When he looked at the old dwarf Mer, his expression was also vicious. It seemed that he wanted to make a move, but unfortunately he also knew who had the final say here. Finally, Theodore took a deep breath. Looking at Tang Xiaofan, he said with regret, "Lord, if there are more dragon corpses, I'm willing to offer a higher price." Tang Xiaofan said, "There are still many dragons in the forest, thousands of them. Deal." The necromancer Theodore immediately made the decision, and then hurriedly said, "The price of the dragon corpses will be based on the price of the old dwarf Mer." Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "I will sell it to the person who bids the highest." Theodore just pretended not to hear this sentence. Except for himself, no one else would come to ask for these dragon corpses. He said, "Give me a day, I'll go collect the soulstones." Tang Xiaofan said, "Okay, but as soon as possible." The necromancer Theodore thought for a moment and said, "Alright. We'll trade again in a day." "Too slow. I want it right now." Tang Xiaofan looked at the necromancer Theodore and said, "Master Theodore, you are a peak level 21 undead warrior. Can't you even take out this little soul stone?" He just counted. There are a total of 24 dragon corpses. 2 at level 21, 17 at level 20, and 5 at level 18. According to the offer of the necromancer Theodore, the total is 60,000 soulstones plus 51,000 soulstones plus 3,000 soulstones, a total of 114,000 soulstones. The doubled price of the old dwarf Mer is 228,000 soulstones. And this was the final transaction price. One day is too fast. The necromancer Theodore's face twitched slightly. He was at least a master of level 21. How could he not come up with less than 200,000 soulstones? He could come up with it now. But he didn't dare, because he was afraid that, if he traded on the spot, he would be robbed by Tang Xiaofan. He had to go back and find a few helpers. Tang Xiaofan seemed to be able to see through his thoughts, and said with a smile, "You can trust me completely." Haha, the necromancer Theodore sneered secretly. He didn't believe in a ghost. Since he came to this dark and evil underground world, he didn't trust anyone. In order to protect himself, he even brought all the undead forces under his command. He thought he could take the initiative in the transaction. He didn't expect Tang Xiaofan's strength to be so terrifying. If he had known in advance, he would not have appeared here at all. Not for anything else, just because he didn't trust others. At this moment, Theodore clearly felt that there were 4 pairs of eyes staring at him. There are 3 pairs of eyes behind Tang Xiaofan, and another pair of eyes comes from the void world. Damn. This is a forced sale. Theodore forced a smile and said, "Of course. How can I not believe the Lord? After all, you are the Lord of the Castle of the Light, Goodness, and Lawful Camp. Then let's trade." Tang Xiaofan nodded. In fact, he has not chosen which camp to join yet. After he builds the Monastery of Light, his castle forces will join the Light, Goodness, and Lawful Camp by default. He is not opposed to these camps. Besides, the camp he is in cannot influence what he wants to do. Tang Xiaofan patted the little Larita's head. The little Larita nodded obediently, then took out all the dragon corpses stored in her castle warehouse, and piled them in the castle yard. Not long after, another dark dragon corpse that was more than 100 meters long was teleported over through the teleportation magic circle. Seeing this scene, the necromancer Theodore could only bite the bullet and complete the transaction with Tang Xiaofan. Otherwise, he suspected that he might not be able to walk out of the castle. He was straightforward, and did not do things like installment payments. A direct transaction was completed, giving Tang Xiaofan 220,000 soulstones. After the transaction was completed, he waved the bone staff in his hand, summoned the Gate of the Dead, and collected all the dragon corpses in the yard. He was also slightly relieved. At this time, Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, I wonder what price Master Theodore is willing to pay for the dead holy artifact called Skeleton King, Ryan's holy knife. He was in a very good mood now. The first transaction was completed because he harvested 220,000 soul stones, and the upgrade of the farmer's factory was definitely okay. Not only can the farmer's factory be upgraded to level 6, he can also build the architect of the Arms Bright Monastery and then directly upgrade it to level 5. I believe that soon, his castle power will usher in a new round of scale surge. As he spoke, Tang Xiaofan stretched out his hand and summoned a black broadsword to fly towards him, and it fell steadily into his hands. It was the holy sword of Skeleton King Ryan, the holy weapon of the undead clan. As soon as he got the black sword, a thick black mist emanated from the blade, and it wanted to penetrate into Tang Xiaofan's body along the handle. However, before the black mist touched the skin of Tang Xiaofan's right hand, it was instantly annihilated by more than half, as if it had suffered a cruel blow. It retreated into the blade in a panic, and dared not appear again. The black mist is the evil power hidden in the black sword, and it likes to devour fresh flesh and souls of creatures. If the strength of the sword owner is not strong enough, it is very likely to be backfired by it, and even transformed into an undead puppet controlled by the black sword. This is the holy weapon of the undead clan. It is extremely powerful, but also extremely evil. It is a disaster for ordinary people to get it. Of course, it is impossible for it to hurt Tang Xiaofan. After all, Tang Xiaofan is now the 11th level castle lord, and there are no taboos. Lord, please be gentler. The undead magician Theodore standing aside looked distressed. The dead clan's holy artifacts rely on the evil and undead power they contain to make a living. Once the evil and undead power in this dead artifact is purified by Tang Xiaofan, what he bought is just an empty shell, and he has to recharge it himself. The most important thing is that the evil and undead power also contains the core source of the dead artifact. If the core source is severely damaged, the power of this dead artifact will be greatly reduced, and it will be difficult to make up for it. Listening to the faint wailing sound from the black sword, the heart of the dead magician Theodore was tightened, and he felt very distressed. Don't be nervous. Tang Xiaofan waved the black sword casually twice, and then waved his right hand. The black sword instantly pierced the ground in front of the dead magician Theodore. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "You want to try it too?" The necromancer Theodore took 2 steps back and said with a smile, "That's not necessary. As a magician, I only use a wand." He was telling the truth. As a necromancer, he was not good at close combat. The reason why he wanted to buy this deadly artifact was to cultivate a level 21 melee undead, such as the Skeleton King, the Skeleton Warrior, the Death Knight and other undead creatures. Chapter 290, The Escape of Theodore the Necromancer. With the 20 level melee undead, he had a great security guarantee. It could protect him closely. Tang Xiaofan didn't force it, and said, "If you like it, then name a price." After hearing Tang Xiaofan's words, the necromancer Theodore pondered for a long time, and finally stretched out 3 skinny fingers to Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan was surprised and said, 30 million. Theodore's body swayed, and he almost fell on his head. He coughed violently a few times. It took a while to stabilize, and his face twitched and said, 30,000. Tang Xiaofan glanced at him. He just thought that this undead nightmare mage was so generous, or that a holy weapon of the undead clan was so valuable. He didn't expect that he was overthinking. The necromancer Theodore smiled bitterly and said, "My dear lord, you also know that soul stones are rare and very hard to come by. Things like holy artifacts are easy to get. Give me an example. You killed Skeleton King Ryan and got his holy artifact. But you conquered the Tomb of Bones and killed tens of thousands of undead creatures, and the soul stones you got must be less than 30,000. Hearing this, Tang Xiaofan remained calm. The soul stones he got from conquering the Tomb of Bones were indeed far less than 30,000. However, this did not mean that he would be fooled by this cunning necromancer, because soul stones can be exploded by killing weak creatures. If you are lucky, soul stones can be exploded from elite creatures. On the contrary, can you explode holy artifacts from elite creatures? Generally speaking, only the 21st level strong have holy artifacts, and they are not common. For example, the late 21st level goblin priest in the Goblin Kingdom did not have a holy artifact. After killing the goblin priest, only a top level skill blueprint was exploded. Tang Xiaofan only said one sentence, "The price is too low. Lord, this price is actually very high." The necromancer Theodore said, "I assure you, that even in the city of chaos, it is only between 20,000 and 30,000 soul stones. I give the highest price. This is the truth." The old dwarf more nodded. Hearing this, the necromancer Theodore almost hugged the old dwarf and kissed him. This old guy just cheated him once, and now he finally knows and compensates him. However, at this time, the old dwarf more said again, "This skeleton king, Ryan's holy sword is not Jintang's holy weapon." After hundreds of years of nurturing by the origin of Skeleton King Ryan, it was finally promoted to the level of a holy weapon. Its holy weapon origin and power are far beyond ordinary holy weapons. After a pause, the old dwarf more said, "Its value can reach 50,000 soul stones." Old guy. The necromancer Theodore was almost angry to death, and stared at him fiercely. However, the old dwarf Mo was not afraid of him at all. Instead, he said calmly, "The holy artifact of the Chaos City can be traded at a low price in secret. If this holy artifact is brought to the surface world, if it is sold to the necromancer magicians and necromancer holy swordsmen of the Dark Empire of humanity, its price can be tripled. The main reason is that its holy artifact origin is very strong and very stable, and it has the possibility of evolving to a higher level." Tang Xiaofan and the little Larita listened to the old dwarf Mer's detailed explanation with relish. Only the necromancer Theodore was so angry that he trembled all over, and his breathing became much faster. He wanted to smash the bone staff in his hand on the old dwarf Mer's head. "You are so talkative." But in the end, he gave up again. Before he summoned the bone dragon and the ghost dragon to set up his posture, he could easily be killed by the old dwarf Mer at close range. Only after summoning his undead army, he had the confidence to fight the old dwarf to the death. In terms of their own combat power, the necromancer is actually very weak. The advantage of the necromancer is the undead army under their command, which is overwhelming, inexhaustible, and endless. In the land of gods and demons, there is a disaster that is famous and feared by countless camps, called the Scourge of the Undead. The mastermind behind the Scourge of the Undead is the necromancer, of course. It may also be a lich. Anyway, no matter what, the necromancer is a very powerful profession. They usually hide behind the scenes and command the undead army under the demons to conquer the city. The necromancers who are exposed in the open die the fastest. At this time, the necromancer Theodore, who was alone, naturally did not dare to confront the old dwarf Mer, who was also at the peak of level 21. For a long time, the necromancer Theodore sighed. Then 50,000 soul stones are the most. 60,000. Tang Xiaofan quoted his psychological price, and at the same time, his eyes fell on the necromancer Theodore. Very calm, so calm that Theodore felt creepy. Damn it. The necromancer Theodore was furious, and wanted to turn around and leave. He was very sad and angry now, because he felt that he was being forced to buy and sell again. He wanted to turn around and leave this ghost place, where he had no sense of security, and never come back. If there was a chance, he could still come back to see the little lolly. For some reason, he fell in love with the little lolly when he saw her for the first time. That feeling was like seeing his own daughter when she was a child. Beautiful, cute, well behaved, and spoke very nicely. Of course, this is not the point. The point is that Theodore is very angry and helpless now. He wants to refuse, but he is worried that he will be killed by Tang Xiaofan because of refusing Tang Xiaofan. 60,000 soul stones are fine. Master Theodore will not lose money. The old dwarf more nodded in agreement. Once this dead soul artifact is sold to the Dark Empire, Master Theodore can make a fortune. Bastard. Theodore was so angry that he vomited blood. Old man, if I dared to return to the Dark Empire, would I run to this underground world where no one lives for decades? The old dwarf more glanced at him. What does it have to do with me, whether you can go back or not? I'm talking about the value of this dead soul artifact. The dead soul mage Theodore didn't want to look at the old dwarf again. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, well." Tang Xiaofan looked at him. Theodore's face twitched and said, "I mean, I bought it. As he spoke, he took out another 60,000 soul stones from his own space storage equipment and handed them to Tang Xiaofan. Deal. Tang Xiaofan waved his hand and put these soul stones into the ring of the Cyclops. 2 transactions. A total of 280,000 soul stones were exchanged. Big profit. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, Master Theodore, happy cooperation. I hope that in the near future, we will have more opportunities for cooperation. Of course, of course. The necromancer Theodore nodded repeatedly. Cooperation. Before finding enough bodyguards, he would never make a second deal with Tang Xiaofan, although he had not been robbed yet. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291 Little Lali Kenna's Little Thoughts. I still have something to do, Theodore said without a word, put away the holy sword of Skeleton King Ryan, and turned to leave the castle. He did not say hello to the dark elf Karara who was traveling with him, until a crisp voice came from behind. Goodbye, strange uncle. He showed a smile to the little Lali that he thought was gentle and brilliant, but actually very creepy, and then quickly disappeared into the darkness. It was not until he was far away from the castle. The feeling of being on the back suddenly disappeared. He also breathed a sigh of relief. Without hesitation, Theodore immediately waved his bone staff, opened the door of the dead, summoned the bone dragon, and rode away. When the necromancer Theodore left, the dark elf Karara's eyes fell directly on Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, What's wrong? The dark elf Karara said, I thought the Lord would send your subordinates to hunt him down, but I didn't expect that you would really make this deal with him. Dark elves, creatures of the evil Chen camp. Everything they see is evil. Tang Xiaofan said with a smile, as a man, you must be honest. Otherwise, how can you make close friends? Of course this is bullshit. What's the point of killing the necromancer Theodore now? At most, it's just taking back the things that have just been sold. He has to be fattened up. When Theodore is fat, or when we meet next time, bring more friends, commonly known as a wave of fat. You are a kind lord. The dark elf Karara praised hurriedly, looking at Tang Xiaofan's handsome and bright face and his exquisite holy weapon suit. Karara unconsciously wanted to use the mental charm, but because of what happened just now, she learned her lesson and turned off the mental charm skill when it was activated. The dark elf Karara smiled and said, I hope that one day, my Blood Moon Nation will be able to cooperate with the Lord. Tang Xiaofan also smiled back, I believe it will be soon. Hearing this, the dark elf Karara was stunned, but she didn't think too much, thinking that Tang Xiaofan was just talking casually. Then she said hello to the little Lali, and then left the Dark Iron Dwarf castle. This time she only brought the necromancer Theodore to trade with Tang Xiaofan. In 3 or 4 days, she will come again to trade with the little Lali's Dark Iron Dwarf castle for forged equipment. This was something that had been agreed upon earlier. Now, the Dark Elf city of Blood Moon State where Karara is located, with the equipment forging ability of Blood Moon State, can no longer meet the consumption of the Legion War. So the Dark Elf Karara will appear in the Dark Iron Dwarf castle. And there is another reason. The Dark Elves are not very good at forging equipment. The equipment forging technology of the dwarfs is also well known throughout the God and Demon continent. The standard equipment made by the dwarves has excellent quality and attributes. Therefore, it is easy to attach great importance to it. Otherwise, the Dark Elf Karara would not have run around and helped find the necromancer Theodore to buy the dragon's corpse and the holy sword of the skeleton King Ryan from Tang Xiaofan. Thank you. Tang Xiaofan bowed to the old dwarf to express his gratitude. If the old dwarf had not talked to him, he would have lost at least tens of thousands of soul stones in the transaction with the necromancer Theodore, and he would have felt that he had made a lot of money. This was because he did not know much about the trading situation of the local forces. The old dwarf raised the price to the highest point as soon as he made a move, touching the bottom line of the necromancer Theodore, and it could not go any higher. The help of the old dwarf allowed Tang Xiaofan to earn nearly 10,000 soul stones more, so he was naturally grateful. The old dwarf Mer also returned the bow. The lord is a friend of Princess Kera, and naturally a friend of our dwarf clan, so it is only right to help. Tang Xiaofan still expressed his gratitude. Then he followed the little loli, or it could be said that the little loli happily took his hand and took him to visit her Black Iron Dwarf castle. Finally, the little loli took him to her small bedroom and took out a lot of colorful gems and crystals for Tang Xiaofan to see like treasures. The little loli was very generous, especially when facing Tang Xiaofan. She piled a lot of beautiful gems and crystals in front of Tang Xiaofan, letting Tang Xiaofan pick whatever he liked. Take whatever you like. The dwarf Xavier, who was standing outside the bedroom, was very surprised. Those things were all the treasures of Princess Kera. Although they did not have much magic power, they were very beautiful and were the favorite things of Princess Kera. Now they were all taken out and placed in front of Tang Xiaofan very generously. The little loli sat on the bed with her legs bent, blinking her big watery eyes at Tang Xiaofan. She said a little disappointedly, "Don't you like these things?" Tang Xiaofan symbolically held a few gems in his palm and said with a smile, "How can I not like the things that Kera gave me?" Yeah, the little girl was immediately happy, and she happily introduced to Tang Xiaofan how she collected these gems and crystals. Finally, she excitedly told Tang Xiaofan, "Kera is now learning to forge equipment from Grandpa Moore. When Kera becomes a blacksmith in the future, I will build a very beautiful throne for you and inlay all these beautiful gems and crystals on it. Yes, Kera will also build a magic weapon for you. Grandpa Moore, Kera is very talented in this aspect." Tang Xiaofan smiled and pinched her delicate pink face, and Kera said, "Is it tiring to forge equipment? If you are tired, then don't learn it." As he said that, he picked up the little girl's hand and looked at it, but suddenly he saw a small piece of purple nails. He didn't say much, but took out a bottle of water of life from the ring of the Cyclops and poured it on the little girl's hand. The effect of the water of life was very strong. In just a moment, the small piece of purple nails disappeared. Don't worry, big brother." The little girl's eyes narrowed into a crescent shape, and she smiled happily. Like a heartless kitten, she said calmly, "This is because Kera accidentally hurt herself when she was making equipment before. It was a little painful at the beginning, but it didn't hurt after that." Tang Xiaofan said, "Why didn't you tell Saint Mer? The old dwarf Mer is a peak level 21 strong man. How could this little injury last until now?" A casual magic power can heal the little girl, but it is obvious that the little girl didn't tell anyone, and she injured it herself, thinking that it would be fine after the pain. The little girl secretly glanced at Tang Xiaofan, then lowered her head and said, "Grandpa Mer actually doesn't want Kera to learn to make equipment, because Grandpa Mer said this is not what princesses do. But Kera wants to learn. I'm afraid that Grandpa Mer will know that Kera is injured and will not teach Kera, so Kera kept it a secret from Grandpa Mer." "Then why do you want to learn to make equipment?" Tang Xiaofan was puzzled. Chapter 290. To the goddess of luck favors little loli. The little loli buried her head and whispered, "Although Kera is young, she also knows that you have many enemies, and many castle lords want to destroy your castle. Last time, the bad guys of the Anti-Demon Alliance gathered to besiege you. Kera can't help again." Grandpa Moore said that the dwarves can create super powerful artifacts. "Don't worry, Master, Kera will work hard and will definitely be able to create an artifact. Once you have the artifact created by Kera, you will become even more powerful and you won't have to be afraid of any bad guys." After Tang Xiaofan was silent for a long time, he smiled and said, "You are waiting for Kera's artifact?" Yeah, the little loli nodded her head vigorously, waved her little fist, and said confidently, "Don't worry, Master." Tang Xiaofan looked at her with some distress. Who would not like such a sensible, well-behaved, innocent and cute little Lalita? Finally, they were leaving. The little Lalita reluctantly held Tang Xiaofan's hand, looking pitiful. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "I have sent you the crystal mark of the teleportation array. You can enter the crystal mark into your castle teleportation array later, and you can come to the Black Technology Castle at any time. Come whenever you want. I have many beautiful angels, elves, and unicorns there." "Really?" The little Lalita widened her eyes, and a light bloomed in her watery eyes. "Unicorn?" She still remembered that there was a unicorn pillow in her previous small bedroom. The pink one was super beautiful. Tang Xiaofan rubbed her head and said with a smile, "How about this? You come with me to the Black Technology Castle. Anyway, the teleportation array has been set up, and it is convenient to come and go." Yeah. The little Lalita nodded her head vigorously. She wanted to see a living unicorn so much. Of course, she also wanted to go to the big castle to play for a few days. Well, it was decided happily. The old dwarf more next to him was a little hesitant and worried whether the little girl would be in danger when she went to the surface world. Tang Xiaofan saw what he was thinking. "Don't worry, she will be fine in my high-tech castle. Even if a demigod level strongman attacks, there is only one way to go, death." "Thank you, Lord, for helping to take care of Her Royal Highness the Princess." The old dwarf Moor was not helpless. Her Royal Highness the Princess wanted to go to the Black Technology Castle, and he had no way to stop her. And he couldn't go with her either, because he had to stay to guard Her Royal Highness the Princess's castle and the Dwarf Palace. As for the dwarf Xavier, mid-level 20, if Her Royal Highness the Princess really encountered danger, Xavier would be of no use. So he could only pray silently that Her Royal Highness the Princess was safe. In fact, the old dwarf Moor was completely worried and confused. Once the teleportation array was connected, the Black Technology Castle and the Dark Iron Dwarf Castle could be said to be neighbors. Isn't it a very simple and easy thing to visit each other? If there is really danger and a strong enemy invades the Black Technology Castle, Tang Xiaofan can also use the teleportation array to teleport the little Lali back to the Dark Iron Dwarf Castle in an instant. Can I go play with Monica and the others for a while? Tang Xiaofan suddenly remembered something and patted the little Lala's head. Okay. The little Lali then let go of Tang Xiaofan's hand and ran happily towards the big elf Monica and the other two. Sister elf. When she came closer, the little Lali suddenly stopped. She tilted her head and looked at the big elf Monica, her eyes full of hope. "Sister elf Kira, can I hug you?" "Of course you can." The big elf Monica was silent for a moment, and then she picked up the little Lali with a somewhat stiff movement. The bright holy light from the elves shone on the little Lali's delicate face, making her squint her big eyes comfortably. Suddenly, she said in surprise, "Sister elf smells so good," and the big elf Monica covered her mouth and chuckled. On the other side, the old dwarf Mer asked puzzledly, "I wonder if my lord, what instructions do you have for me alone?" Tang Xiaofan sent the little Lali away and called him aside. Obviously he had something to say to him. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Saint Mer, you are too polite. I just have a question that I don't quite understand, and I want to seek the answer from Saint Mer." The old dwarf Mer hurriedly said, "Please speak, Lord." Tang Xiaofan said, "When Saint Mer just came to the Dark Iron Dwarf Castle, he gave Keller a construction blueprint of a high-level refining shop. I'm very curious about how Saint Mer got the blueprint." Without waiting for the old dwarf Mer to speak, Tang Xiaofan continued, "Monica told you that, before joining the castle forces, the intelligent creatures of the local forces could not drop blueprints when killing the enemy. And before our castle forces came, you didn't even know what a blueprint was. Since the blueprints cannot be revealed, where did the blueprints in Saint Mer's hand come from?" Tang Xiaofan has always wanted to figure out this question. In the past, there was no chance. Now that he saw the old dwarf Mer, he naturally wanted to ask clearly. After hearing Tang Xiaofan's words, the old dwarf Mer's pupils shrank slightly, and then he said with a smile, "It turns out that the Lord didn't know about this matter. Before coming to the Black Iron Dwarf Castle, I met a castle lord who gave me the blueprint of the equipment refining shop." "Really?" Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "What is the name of the castle lord? Saint Mer should know. Our castles have unconventional means of communication. I also want to buy a few similar blueprints from him." The old dwarf Mer was stunned. Tang Xiaofan said again, "Advanced architectural blueprints are very rare and precious blueprints. The castle lord was able to give the blueprints to Saint Mer. I think Saint Mer can't not know his name, right?" The old dwarf Mer immediately wanted to make up a name, but then he gave up. Because he did know the means by which the castle lords and castle lords could communicate with each other. Their princess often used this means to chat with Tang Xiaofan, who was far away on the surface. What does the goddess of luck want to do? The old dwarf more said, the goddess's thoughts are not something that we believers can peek into, but I believe that the goddess will not harm the princess. When he said this, his expression was very firm, but Tang Xiaofan did not comment. However, he had no way to kick the goddess of luck away now. After all, the goddess had lived from ancient times to today, and she was at least tens of thousands of years old. Even a pig would be abnormally powerful after practicing for so many years. Tang Xiaofan even suspected that his Sky City might not be able to kill the goddess of luck. Of course, it would be different if it was the Terminator. The Terminator mushroom could kill all carbon-based creatures and even threaten the terrifying existence of the main god level. Even a vast kingdom of god could be smashed to pieces with one shot. Next, Tang Xiaofan did not ask any more questions. He didn't say anything more. After all, he couldn't handle the goddess of luck now. When he could handle the goddess of luck, everything would be easy. Besides, at least for now, the goddess of luck had no ill will towards the little Lalita and helped the little Lalita again and again. She seemed to be a good god. As for the future, let's wait and see. Chapter 293, The Underground World Attack Plan. The old dwarf more felt that Tang Xiaofan could easily find out whether the name was true or false. Thinking of this, the old dwarf more also smiled bitterly and said, "Why does the Lord have to know?" Tang Xiaofan said, "Just curious." The old dwarf more took a breath and said, "Please forgive me, Lord, I can't say too much. I can only say that the blueprint is a gift from the gods. The gift from the Lord of the castle is fake, and the gift from the gods is real." Tang Xiaofan was also shocked when he heard this. I didn't expect that a mere high-level architectural blueprint would be related to the gods. Tang Xiaofan asked, "The true god of this world can kill the enemy and explode the blueprint?" The old dwarf more shook his head and said, "I don't know about this. I only know that the blueprint was given to my dwarf clan by the gods and then handed over to Her Royal Highness the Princess." Tang Xiaofan asked again, "Which god? What does he want to do?" The old dwarf more shook his head. This time, he didn't answer at all. Tang Xiaofan was silent, and then a light bulb flashed in his mind. Has the goddess of luck not fallen? Of course not. The old dwarf more answered without thinking, and before he finished speaking, he looked at Tang Xiaofan with a look of horror. Tang Xiaofan saw the expression on his face and sighed. "I have always said that the little Lalita is favored by the goddess of luck, but I didn't expect it to be true." It was confirmed at this time, and Tang Xiaofan was still very shocked. Old dwarf more, Lord. He was helpless and never thought that Tang Xiaofan would not play by the rules. Tang Xiaofan said again, "In the ancient war of gods, not all gods of faith fled from the land of gods and demons. There were always lucky gods who survived and stayed in this world." The old dwarf more continued to be speechless. Lucky gods, isn't it the goddess of luck? Gods of faith, which god can be luckier than the goddess of luck? It is normal for her to survive the ancient war of gods. Tang Xiaofan asked, "What does she want to do? To develop little Lali into her believer? And the dwarf forces behind you have also begun to believe in the goddess of luck?" The old dwarf said with a serious expression, "Don't worry, Lord, the goddess will never hurt the princess. In addition, our dwarfs believed in many gods in ancient times. God of Walkington, goddess of luck. They were all our gods of faith." Saint Mer told Tang Xiaofan that the god of faith of the dwarves in their tribe was the goddess of luck. From ancient times to the present age of truth, it has always been like this. Their faith has never been lost, let alone changed, because the glory of the goddess of luck has always shone on them. Tang Xiaofan frowned. The current situation can only be seen slowly. At this time, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the two of them, and the old dwarf Mo was startled. And Guan looked at the Terminator guide who came out of the void with fear. With his perception, he couldn't even sense the existence of this steel warrior, which made him feel incredible. After all, this iron warrior who looked like a creature of the dark camp was only at the early stage of level 21, while his rank was as high as the peak of level 21, which was several small realms behind. "Almighty Lord," the Terminator guide said respectfully, "according to your instructions, I have found the hiding place of the necromancer and marked it. With our current delivery capability, we can send the army there at any time. I know Tang Xiaofan nodded, and when he turned around, he found that the old dwarf Moor was looking at him with a strange expression. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Don't think too much, this is just for emergency use." The old dwarf Moor said, "Before, when I saw that the Lord allowed the necromancer Theodore to leave safely and did not intercept him in the middle, I thought you were sincere in making a deal with him." Tang Xiaofan said, "Of course I'm sincere in making a deal with him." Huh. The old dwarf Moor was puzzled. "What are you doing?" Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Deal is deal. War is war, and people making a deal does not mean that I will not lead the castle army to attack his camp." The old dwarf Moor was silent. The lord of the castle from the surface world really did things in a very separate way. Saint Moor said in a deep voice, "Are you ready to start now?" Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Is the old man a little anxious too?" The old dwarf Moor said very honestly, "With the help of a military evolution map given by Her Royal Highness the Princess, my growth potential limit has been raised to the semi-god realm. Now I also want to ignite the divine fire by killing some powerful enemies." "I see." Tang Xiaofan suddenly realized, and then waved his hand and said, "Don't worry. Wait until the time is right. I will dispatch the castle army to descend on this underground world. Whether it is a necromancer Theodore or the Blood Moon state where the dark elf Karara is located, they are essentially the targets that our castle lord wants to capture. Saint Moor should also be able to see this." The old dwarf Moor nodded. Not only him, but all local intelligent creatures know that the local forces and the castle forces are enemies, and they are irreconcilable. For this, the necromancer Theodore also knows, and the dark elf Karara also knows. But they all believed one thing, that is, although Tang Xiaofan was powerful and had many top level 21 warriors, his castle was in the surface world. The surface world was different from the underground world. The underground world was filled with countless dark and evil creatures, including 21st level warriors, demigods, and evil true gods. Tang Xiaofan's castle had not yet developed in the surface world, so Theodore and Karara regarded Tang Xiaofan as a partner and intended to make a deal with him. However, Theodore and Karara did not know that Tang Xiaofan had set his sights on this dark area a long time ago. If the teleportation array was established, his first step would be taken. It would only be a matter of time before he wanted to attack this area. The time is ripe. The old dwarf Moor seemed to be looking forward to the coming of war more than Tang Xiaofan. He asked, "May I ask, Lord, what does it mean when the time is ripe?" Tang Xiaofan looked at him strangely and said, "Don't be impatient, old man. You have to prepare. I need to establish a dynasty before I can use troops underground." The old dwarf Moor sighed. "It seems that it will take a long time." Tang Xiaofan said, "It won't take too long, maybe even shorter." The old dwarf Moor was stunned and said, "Are you so confident, Lord? It is not so easy for a ruler to establish a dynasty." Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Saint Moor will know when the time comes." Hearing this, the old dwarf Moor didn't say much, but he was very skeptical. Can Tang Xiaofan really establish a dynasty in 1 or 2 months? Which of the local dynasty forces in the God and Demon continent did not take a long time to establish? Chapter 294, Upgrading the Farmer's Factory to get an unexpected result. Even if the lord of the castle has extremely terrifying strength and has unique advantages, it doesn't make sense that such a terrifying person could build a dynasty in such a short time. He doubted the truth of Tang Xiaofan's words. Since the Terminator guide had returned, Tang Xiaofan did not stay for long. He took his group back to the Black Technology Castle. However, among their group, there was an exquisite and lovely human little Lalita. "Big brother, is this your castle?" After leaving the teleportation array, the little Lalita squinted her eyes and soon said with envy, "Big Black Technology Castle, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Such a big and wide castle, with tall glowing trees, beautiful elf huts, and many beautiful angel sisters and elf sisters. Also, there are so many human races. What are they doing? Playing basketball?" The little guy breathed the fresh air around him with an intoxicated look. The air in the Black Technology Castle was filled with the magic of light, holiness, nature, and life, making the little Lalita feel warm all over. Compared to the dark, damp, cold, dark and evil underground world. The big black technology castle is so comfortable. Just like Neverland. At this time, the little girl suddenly widened her eyes. She pulled Tang Xiaofan's hand and jumped to point at a group of silver white glowing creatures walking not far away and said excitedly, "Big brother, are those unicorns?" Tang Xiaofan smiled and nodded. "Go play with them." "Yeah, thank you." The little girl cheered and immediately ran towards the unicorns excitedly. Tang Xiaofan looked at her cheerful back and smiled. Free time. Tang Xiaofan took a look at his own soulstone reserves. 396,300 soulstones. It's okay. Now, the soulstones have all met the needs of upgrading the farmer's factory to level 6 and the light army building. Tang Xiaofan was very eager and excited. At this stage, many top castle lords only have level 4 army buildings. Castle lords with level 5 army buildings can be said to be very rare. Tang Xiaofan asked Bei Yi yesterday and learned that his army building was the home of the ancient giant bear, which was only level 4. There are still thousands of soulstones away from upgrading to level 5. Today, Bei Yi's army building should be able to upgrade to level 5, but it is only level 5. You know, Bei Yi ranked 10th in the battle power score list in the Beast Tide event, which shows how strong he is. But even he has just upgraded his army building to level 5. You can imagine what level the army buildings of other castle lords will be. Tang Xiaofan suspected that without 10 days or half a month, those top level castle lords would not be able to upgrade their army buildings to level 6. In other words, Tang Xiaofan was at least 10 days ahead of those top castle lords. 10 days, it seems like not much time, but it passed in the blink of an eye. But you have to know that the castle forces have only been in the God and Demon continent for 10 days. 10 days is enough for Tang Xiaofan to summon hundreds of farmers and raise his strength to another level. This is the gap between the top level castle lord and Tang Xiaofan. His current strength is no longer something that a top level castle lord can contend with. It takes an alliance to fight against his castle forces. If I send Olivia and Zunyi, even the 21st level elves and flaming dragons in the castle, I'm afraid those castle alliances are not my opponents. After all, I have 2 demigods and 18 21st level arms. Tang Xiaofan grinned and then cast his eyes on the farmer factory emitting holy light. Do you want to upgrade the unique arm building? Farmer factory, yes, no yes. Tang Xiaofan chose yes without hesitation. Suddenly, the farmer factory was wrapped in a dazzling golden light. Not far away, under the tree of the elves, the little girl and a group of elves were holding hands and singing songs. The little girl couldn't sing, so she followed the elves to learn. When she learned almost everything, she sang and danced with the elves. The little girl was so happy. She danced with the elves for a while, and then hugged the unicorn that was emitting silver light. It was really crazy. But the little girl was very polite and generous. She ran back to the Dark Iron Dwarf castle and brought honey, which she bought from the trading channel. Now she shared it with the elves. Of course, she didn't know that no one ate honey in the Black Technology Castle. But the elves still liked sweets, and they accepted everything. Finally, when she was tired of playing, she went back to the elf garden with the elves, lying in the sea of flowers, and counting the stars in the night sky. So this is the moon of the surface world. Yes, Sister Kara little elf replied. Whenever the blood moon comes, the monsters will be demonized and become very scary half-demon beasts. But Sister Kara, don't worry, the Lord has cleared all the wild monsters around, and no monster dares to attack the castle. You are very powerful. The little loli sat up immediately and said, you are the most powerful owner of the castle, yeah. The elves around also nodded their heads and said admiringly, you are the most powerful, and you will become the god of faith of our elf tribe in the future, protecting all the elves. Of course. With your protection, you elves don't have to be afraid of anything. The little loli smiled brightly, her big eyes narrowed into a crescent shape, and she was very happy every time the elves worshipped and praised Tang Xiaofan. The golden light lasted for a long time, but it gradually dissipated in the end. Finally, when the golden light disappeared completely, the upgraded farmer's factory was completely displayed in front of Tang Xiaofan. First of all, the scale of the factory has changed the most. When it was at level 5, the factory occupied an area of 50 meters in diameter. Now that it has been upgraded to level 6, the diameter has doubled instantly, reaching a full 100 meters. At first glance, it looks like an oversized fortress. After the upgrade, the energy in the factory has become more concentrated and purer. Secondly, the entire factory has completely become a high-tech biological factory. As expected by Tang Xiaofan, there are mostly monitors inside, showing various numbers and icons that he can't understand, and some human-shaped pictures. However, an inexplicable force prevented Tang Xiaofan from further exploring the situation inside. At this moment, when the farmer factory is upgraded to level 6, the new farmer profession that can be selected has also appeared. Farmer factory, unique military building, current level 6. Summonable professional farmers, randomly summoned once a month. Ordinary gifted scientist prototype. Next upgrade, 1 million soulstones. Special reminder, level 6 farmer factory, there is a 40% probability of breeding. Farmers with special abilities. What? There is only one profession. Chapter 295. Welcome Dr. Ethan to join the Black Technology Castle. To be honest, Tang Xiaofan was very happy when he saw the upgraded farmer factory, which only added one new occupation summon. He almost laughed out loud. After all, that means that ordinary occupations have been summoned, and now the ones that can be summoned must be high-end occupations and scientists. He now has a large number of farmers, and he can recruit as many as he wants, but the current scientific research progress is very slow, or even slower and slower, because there are many researchers, but no masters, no geniuses. Although Jarvis is very capable, he can't be the leader of a research institute. Because Jarvis's humanoid design is a database and auxiliary artificial intelligence, rather than a genius innovative brain. Tang Xiaofan knows that only humans have the ability to innovate, and artificial intelligence has not yet been realized. Now, after continuous upgrades, the farmer factory can finally summon scientists. Although they are ordinary talented scientists, they can also be leaders. Although this new profession can only be summoned once a month, it can greatly accelerate Tang Xiaofan's research plan. In other words, the portability transformation of the Mark to armor, which has been delayed for a long time, will soon be realized. If this transformation is completed, then Tang Xiaofan's army expansion plan will be unrestricted. At that time, the sky full of steel warriors will surely make those top castle lords and major alliances more panicked. They all know very well how powerful Tang Xiaofan's steel demons are. At least so far, no one's army can match Tang Xiaofan's demons. The super powerful steel warriors have formed a larger scale warrior corps. Will they let these top castle lords live? More importantly, due to the low level of the arms building, the number of arms under their command is not as many as Tang Xiaofan's soldiers. The strength is not enough and the number is small. This is the worst. However, when Tang Xiaofan saw the next level upgrade requirements of the farmer's factory, the excitement in his heart was instantly extinguished by a basin of cold water. It takes 100,000 soulstones to upgrade the farmer's factory to level 6. Now the farmer's factory has just entered level 6 and is ready to upgrade to level 7. But it requires a full million soulstones. The upgrades have increased tenfold compared to the upgrade from level 5 to level 6. Speaking of soulstones alone, after deducting the upgrade consumption just now, he now has less than 200,000 soulstones, which is far from the upgrade requirement of 1 million. Level 6 to level 7, it has increased tenfold again. Does it mean that when level 7 is upgraded to level 8, it will cost tens or hundreds of millions? Thinking of this, Tang Xiaofan's eyelids also twitched a few times. The upgrades are getting more and more terrifying. Any castle lord will feel tingling, including him. Moreover, I still have 3 military buildings. Tang Xiaofan's mouth twitched. Should the elf mother tree be upgraded? Of course. After all, it is a top military building, which can summon top military types such as natural elves. If you are lucky, elemental elves and ancient great elves can also be bred. Should the Monastery of Light be built? Of course. Not only to build, but also to upgrade, recruit more light soldiers. This is very important for Tang Xiaofan to harvest the power of faith with the god of faith in the future. Another point, one plane world after another, then the people who manage the plane world will be these light soldiers. After all, the soldiers who are completely based on the natives of Blue Star, and the soldiers who have worked hard to enjoy the world in the God and Demon continent. When the light soldiers just appeared, Tang Xiaofan had many ideas in his mind. But the prerequisite for these ideas is that the scale of the Light Legion must be expanded. He even considered killing all the goblin believers in the goblin tribe and forcibly transforming them into angels. In short, the scale of the Light Legion must be expanded. He has already calculated that when the number of light soldiers reaches a certain level, he will form the Fanatic Corps, the Light Crusaders, and so on. These legions fight in wars, and when there is no war, they spread faith and manage the mortal plane world. Therefore, the Monastery of Light must be built. In this way, with the elf mother tree and the farmer factory, he has 3 military buildings. If it were other castle lords, they might be so excited that they couldn't sleep for 3 days and 2 nights. But for Tang Xiaofan, he was worried that the soul stones were too inexpensive. Even if he had 100 million soul stones now, he could use them all up. And it's not enough, because if you want to upgrade all 3 military buildings to level 9, you need more than 300 million soul stones. Military buildings are definitely gold-eating beasts. The key is that Tang Xiaofan also has 3 gold-eating beasts, which really makes Tang Xiaofan feel that he can't afford them. Of course, upgrading all 3 military buildings to level 9 is just a goal. It can't be done overnight. It has to be done one by one. As long as my castle continues to improve its strength and continue to capture the surrounding local forces, I will harvest more and more soul stones. One day, the dream will come true. Tang Xiaofan's character is still quite optimistic. Then, he looked at the probability of summoning special farmers at the level 6 farmer factory. 40%. The probability has increased again. This is good news. The higher the probability, the greater the chance of summoning a special farmer. However, the most important thing now is to summon a scientist with ordinary talents for the first time. Do you choose to randomly summon a scientist with ordinary talents now? Yes, no. Tang Xiaofan immediately chose yes. A golden light flashed, and the farmer factory began to work. Compared with the time it took to summon ordinary farmers before, this summoning took a little longer. The golden light kept shining. It seemed that it would take some time to complete this summoning. However, thinking that it could speed up the progress of the research project, Tang Xiaofan still waited patiently. Finally, the golden light ended, and the huge factory finally quieted down. A man pushed open the door and walked out of the farmer factory. Meet the Lord. The man was a middle-aged man wearing glasses, a dark suit, and a little bald on his head. He was a typical Mediterranean. My name is Ethan, the Ethan who helped Tony become Iron Man. Ethan. Tang Xiaofan immediately knew the identity of this middle-aged man. He was the man who helped Tony build the first generation of Mark armor in Iron Man 1. Unfortunately, he was killed by a stray bullet when the two were escaping from the cave. Dr. Ethan is a scientist who is no less than Tony. It can be said that without Dr. Ethan, there would be no Iron Man. Welcome, Dr. Ethan. Tang Xiaofan was very happy. He grabbed Dr. Ethan's hands and waved them vigorously. He stretched out his hand and handed a portable helmet to Dr. Ethan. Dr. Ethan put on the helmet and successfully connected to Jarvis network. Chapter 296. Building the Monastery of Light to level 5. Hello, Dr. Ethan. Welcome to join the Black Technology Castle. With the intervention of Jarvis, Dr. Ethan quickly understood the current situation, saving Tang Xiaofan's saliva. Then, Dr. Ethan took over the important task of the scientific research leader of the Black Technology Castle and began to work. Seeing Dr. Ethan walk into the material laboratory happily, Tang Xiaofan happily prepared to build the Monastery of Light. Away from the farmer's factory, Tang Xiaofan found a vacant land in the castle territory and decided to build the Monastery of Light here. Take out the army building drawings. Do you choose to build the top army building in the current area? Yes, no, yes. Tang Xiaofan responded. The nuns, priests, and knights recruited from the Monastery of Light all have the growth potential of level 20. The angels recruited from the Monastery of Light have the growth potential of demigods, but are limited by the number of recruits. The 20th level army can be called advanced arms or the next level top arms. The demigod level arms are undoubtedly the top arms. In addition to the level 20 soldiers such as the Sister of Light, the Monastery of Light also has the chance to recruit paladins, bishops, Holy Light Pegasus and other soldiers with level 21 potential, which are truly top level soldiers. Therefore, the game official listed the Monastery of Light as a top level soldier building. A dazzling golden light appeared in front of Tang Xiaofan, and a building similar to a church could be vaguely seen in the golden light. After about a few minutes, the golden light disappeared, and the top-level soldier building, the Monastery of Light, was settled in Tang Xiaofan's black technology castle. Tang Xiaofan looked up, and an information frame appeared in his field of vision. Monastery of Light, factions, light, kindness, lawfulness, level 1. 5 light soldiers can be recruited every day. Randomly summoned Sisters of Light, Knights of Light and other soldiers, required for upgrading. 50 soul stones. Special reminder, the first level troop building Monastery of Light has a very low probability of summoning paladins, bishops, Holy Light Pegasi, angels and other level 21 top soldiers. You can recruit 5 soldiers every day. Not bad. When the elf mother tree is at level 1, you can breed 3 natural elves every day. Although the Monastery of Light is also a top level troop building. But strictly speaking, it is 1 level lower than the top troop buildings such as the elf mother tree. So when it is at level 1, the number of light soldiers recruited every day is 5. Without hesitation, Tang Xiaofan directly opened the upgrade information prompt of the Monastery of Light. Do you want to upgrade the top level troop building? Yes. No. Yes. As soon as the words fell, the Monastery of Light was once again shrouded in a golden light. In the following time, the Monastery of Light appeared the same golden light 3 times in a row. Its level was directly upgraded to level 5 by Tang Xiaofan. Bright Monastery. Factions are bright, kind, and lawful. Current level 5. 120 bright soldiers can be recruited every day, randomly summoning bright nuns, bright knights, and other soldiers. Upgrade required. 100,000 soul stones. Special reminder, the level 5 troop building Bright Monastery has a high probability of summoning paladins, bishops, Holy Light Pegasus, angels, and other level 21 top soldiers. Level 5 Bright Monastery, recruiting 120 bright soldiers every day. This wave of consumption is worth it. Tang Xiaofan grinned. The upgrade consumption of troop buildings is the same. In other words, Tang Xiaofan only consumed 11,600 soul stones to upgrade the troop building to level 5. For other castle lords, this is a large number, but for Tang Xiaofan, this amount of soul stones is nothing. After 2 waves of consumption, he currently has more than 200,000 soul stones left, although the previous farmer factory upgrade to level 6 consumed a full 100,000 soul stones. But the number of soul stones did not move at all. This alone was enough to shock any castle lord. Moreover, the soulstone reserves were enough to meet the needs of upgrading the 2 military buildings of the Elf Mother Tree and the Monastery of Light to level 6. However, he now planned to postpone upgrading these 2 top military buildings to level 6. He decided to postpone it and see what happened later. At this time, a message prompt appeared. Congratulations, Castle Lord. In view of the appearance of the exclusive military building of the Light Camp in your castle, the Monastery of Light, your castle camp has been changed to the Light, and Lawful Camp. You have a new camp. Special reminder 1. Your Black Technology Castle has gained the friendship of the Natural Elf Kingdom. Special reminder 2. Because your Black Technology Castle has been classified as light, and lawful, the hatred value of the dark, evil, and chaotic camps towards your castle forces has increased significantly. Special reminder 3. The human brilliant empire in the central area of the native land has greatly increased its friendship value towards you. Special reminder 4. The human dark empire in the central area of the native land has greatly increased its hatred value towards you. Special reminder 5. Dragon Nest's hatred value towards you has greatly increased. Glorious Empire, Dark Empire. Tang Xiaofan ignored the dragon nest that appeared in the special reminder. The giant dragons in the forest were just like the original Goblin Kingdom, and they had always been obsessed with his Black Technology Castle. But he didn't care. After he dealt with the Dwarf Kingdom and the Forest Giant Kingdom, it would be Dragon Nest's turn. It was the two empire titles that appeared in the special reminder that attracted his attention. Since hundreds of castle lords all landed outside the central area, they basically had no contact with the local empires in the central area. Therefore, the castle lords didn't know much about those local empires. At most, they knew a name and what camp they belonged to, but they didn't know anything else. So far, Tang Xiaofan has roughly known that there are several empires in the central area through the understanding of world information and the prompts of this information, including the Dwarf Empire, the Dragon Empire, and the Natural Elf Empire. In addition, there is an Ice and Snow Kingdom. Although the Ice and Snow Kingdom is suffixed with kingdom, it is also a powerful force at the empire level. These are the 7 imperial forces. Although we don't know if there are other imperial forces in the central area, even if there are only these 7, the central area is terrifying enough. Fortunately, the castle forces did not descend to the central area. Otherwise, hundreds of castle lords would be eaten up by these empires. Even Tang Xiaofan felt fortunate at this time. If they really descended to the central area, it would be a disaster. The 7 imperial forces were enough to kill hundreds of castle lords without leaving a single one. Fortunately, the game official did not give these castle lords a direct abyss level difficulty. Without thinking anymore, Tang Xiaofan opened the recruitment information prompt of the Monastery of Light. The energy of the core building Monastery of Light is insufficient. Do you want to continue recruiting? Yes. No recruit. Tang Xiaofan chose yes. The energy was insufficient because the Monastery of Light was upgraded to level 5 by him. When the core building was just built, it only had the energy of the initial level 1 building. Of course, insufficient energy did not affect recruitment. At most, it could not directly recruit 120 core of light this time, and the number of recruits was only 5 at level 1. In Tang Xiaofan's eyes, the 5 soldiers of light were also worth recruiting, so he naturally would not choose to refuse. Soon, the Monastery of Light burst into a white light, and there was a faint singing voice that seemed to be able to cleanse people's souls. Chapter 297 Cardinal Louise. The Monastery of Light looks like a black and white church, with white light and melodious singing, which attracted the attention of some light soldiers. A long time ago, Tang Xiaofan had a special army for the Monastery of Light, including the Sisters of Light, the Priests of Light, and the Knights of Light. They were all transformed from the souls of the militia of the human race. As humans, they have a closer relationship with the Monastery of Light. At this moment, several Sisters of Light, Priests of Light, and Knights of Light gathered. They were attracted by the singing coming from the Monastery of Light, and gathered in front of the Monastery of Light, singing the hymn that can cleanse the soul. The hymn is the symbol of the Light Camp, which has been passed down from ancient times to the present. But in the current continent of gods and demons, there are very few people who can sing this kind of hymn, even in the Huayao Empire in the central area. Because the general meaning of this hymn is to pray to the gods, hoping to get the protection and favor of the gods. This is the song of faith of the Light Camp. Today, the God of Truth rules the vast land of gods and demons, and the God of Faith has become the object of scorn. Even the Goddess of Light who once ruled the Light Camp is no exception, and has been scorned. Only a very small number of people still believe in the Goddess of Light, and naturally, there are not many people who can sing this kind of hymn. If nothing unexpected happens, the people of the Holy Church should be the believers of the Goddess of Light. After tens of thousands of years, they still haven't given up their faith in their hearts and always believe in the Goddess of Light. Although Tang Xiaofan has not seen anyone from the Holy Church yet, he is not unfamiliar with the Holy Church. The Holy Equipment level equipment, the Holy Light Ring, which he wears on his fingertips, is a holy object from the Holy Church, and the active attack of the ring is the magic of the Goddess of Light. It has been a long time since Tang Xiaofan obtained the Holy Light Ring, but until now, he has not seen anyone from the Holy Church. Could it be that those holy believers dare not come to the forest? Or is it that the journey is too long, and they are on their way? Just as Tang Xiaofan was thinking about it, the white light in the Monastery of Light disappeared, and the hymn disappeared. Soon the gate of the Monastery of Light opened, and several figures came out from inside. The leader was a woman in a red dress, followed by 2 nuns of light and 2 priests of light. The difference was that their clothes were all grayish white. Only the woman in the lead was wearing a bright red dress. Of course, the dress she wore was not aristocratic women's clothing, but a special dress for believers. She led the team to Tang Xiaofan, kneeling on the ground with reverence and fanaticism. Her forehead touched the ground, and she said in a trembling but solemn voice, "Great Lord of Holy Light, Lord of Light, your humble believer greets you. May the holy light always be there, and may you be eternal." She was very close to Tang Xiaofan, almost wanting to kiss the upper of Tang Xiaofan's shoes, but Tang Xiaofan took a step back at the right time. He didn't have this habit. This was a very beautiful female believer, although not as beautiful as his angels and elves. She was also very beautiful, her eyes were pure. She knelt on the ground, and the red robe failed to cover her exquisite curves. When Tang Xiaofan's eyes fell on her, an information frame was immediately presented. Red Cardinal. Description: fanatic believer of the light camp. Strength level: level 2 loyalty. 100. Faith fanaticism. Growth potential limit: level 21. Not bad luck. This is the first time I recruited soldiers from the Monastery of Light. Although I only recruited 5 this time, I was lucky enough to recruit a red cardinal with a potential of level 21. In addition to the red cardinal with a great figure in front of him, there are 4 other soldiers, 2 sisters of light and 2 priests of light. The information is the same as the nuns and priests he resurrected before, all of which are at the initial level 2, and the growth potential limit is level 20. The red cardinal is a top level soldier. For the Monastery of Light, which is currently at level 5, the probability of recruiting her is not high. With only 5 soldiers, you can recruit a red cardinal. Tang Xiaofan's luck was indeed not bad. He looked at the cardinal who was still crawling on the ground in front of him and said, "You will be called Louise from now on. Praise you, your majesty, the great lord of holy light." The Queen of Red Louise replied with great excitement. It was the highest honor for her to be named by the god of faith. She didn't get up from the ground until she got a signal from Tang Xiaofan, but she still lowered her head slightly, not daring to look directly at Tang Xiaofan's face and eyes. Tang Xiaofan corrected her title. He didn't want to be the Lord of Holy Light. This was the title of the Goddess of Light. He was not worried that the Goddess of Light would resurrect or come back to trouble him, but he preferred the title of the Almighty Lord. Compared with the creator of the 10 days of creation in the mouths of the farmers, it would be too cheap to use the title of the Goddess of Light. Yes, Almighty Lord. Cardinal Louise of Red saluted respectfully. As a believer with firm faith, she would naturally obey the orders of the God of Faith without hesitation. Tang Xiaofan waved his hand and said, "Go and pray." "Yes, your majesty." Cardinal Louise bowed and retreated. And with other nuns of light, priests of light, and several knights of light, Tang Xiaofan also went in to take a look. To his surprise, from the outside, the Monastery of Light was just a single building, church-like building. But when he walked in, he found that there was a different world inside. There was a place for believers to rest, a faith square for believers to gather, and a temple dedicated to faith sacrifices, and other buildings. Tang Xiaofan walked around for half an hour, but he didn't finish visiting all the buildings inside. The space inside the Monastery of Light was like a subdimensional world, very large. Even the hall where Cardinal Louise prayed with those light soldiers was large enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. And there was not just one such prayer temple, but many. After coming out of the Monastery of Light, Tang Xiaofan was amazed. How could he have imagined that the Monastery of Light, which looked like a single building from the outside, had such a huge space inside, and it was completely a city of faith that could accommodate tens of millions of people? The power of the game officials was still amazing. Tang Xiaofan was filled with emotion. Of course, he was talking nonsense. He was able to bring hundreds of people from another distant world to the continent of gods and demons, and issued recruited soldiers to each of them. Moreover, the game officials also gave the lord of the castle the ability to upgrade his level by killing the enemy. This ability was not possessed by the native intelligent creatures of the continent of gods and demons. The game officials was equivalent to changing the world rules for their castle lord alone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298, Stealing the Girlfriend of the Goddess of Light. It is obvious that its power is so strong that it is terrifying. Tang Xiaofan believes that even the upper gods cannot do this. Of course, this is just his guess, and he did not delve into it because it is completely useless to dwell on this issue. At this time, a beautiful and cute elf came to Tang Xiaofan and said respectfully, "Lord, Sister Kella fell asleep in the garden and we did not wake her up." "So good." Tang Xiaofan smiled and rubbed the elf's head. These natural elves were really cute when they were young. Unfortunately, with the help of the welfare of the army, they will grow up in a few days. This is one of the characteristics of the army. The level increase will change the growth state of the army, and their bodies will grow rapidly. Just like his 8-winged angel Tigger, when it was first conceived, Tigger was only a few dozen centimeters tall, just like a pocket angel doll. Now in less than 20 days, the 8-winged angel Tigger has been promoted to level 21. Her growth state, starting from the Holy Spirit stage, crossed the larval body, and entered the growth stage. Then her height also soared to about 1.7 meters, looking like a complete angel. And these natural elves that are bred will also grow up quickly. Don't look at them as young, cute and innocent as children now. However, as long as they experience a large-scale war, they are likely to grow directly into big elves and have extremely beautiful faces. Praise you, Lord. After receiving Tang Xiaofan's praise, the elf was very excited and embarrassed, lowering her head shyly. Then, the elf took Tang Xiaofan to a small garden. This is the elf building that Tang Xiaofan built for them using the blueprint. The small garden of the elves, surrounded by flowers and colorful butterflies inside and outside. It looks very beautiful. The elves also like it very much. Of course, due to the small number of blueprints, it is impossible to directly build a garden that can accommodate more than 1,000 natural elves. But this was not a problem for Gianai and the elves. So the other natural elves directly cooperated with Gianai to design and build their own elf gardens. Natural elves are professional in beautiful design. Tang Xiaofan estimated that it would not take a few days. There would be hundreds of beautiful elf gardens in his castle. Fortunately, his black technology castle was large enough, and the castle's direct territory was a full 10 kilometers in diameter. Not to mention hundreds of elf gardens. It was not a problem to build thousands of them. Such a large territory was enough to accommodate hundreds of thousands of troops. Moreover, for Non-Jai and his people, aesthetics was definitely not as good as natural elves. They were also willing to transform their homes into places like dream gardens, so the two sides hit it off, and all kinds of beautiful fusion-style buildings appeared everywhere in the black technology castle. After entering a small elf garden, Tang Xiaofan saw several cute elves gathered in the garden, and next to them was a sleeping little Lalita, curled up like a quiet kitten. Tang Xiaofan walked over and picked up the little girl. "Big brother." The little girl opened her eyes in a daze. When she saw that it was Tang Xiaofan, she hugged his neck with both hands and continued to sleep. Tang Xiaofan smiled happily. Then he carried the little girl into the castle and found a room for her to have a good sleep. After settling the little girl, Tang Xiaofan walked out of the castle and saw a white figure standing at the door of the military building, the Monastery of Light. She looked about the same age as the little girl, but a little taller. She was wearing a snow-white dress and exuded holy light. It was the holy light elemental elf Victoria. "My lord." Seeing Tang Xiaofan coming, the holy light elf Victoria hurriedly saluted respectfully. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "What are you doing standing here?" Victoria said respectfully, "My lord." Victoria just felt familiar when she saw this monastery of light, and she was unconsciously immersed in memories. Is that so? Tang Xiaofan knew that due to the relationship between the elf mother tree, the natural elves he bred were all local elves. Unlike the Monastery of Light built with blueprints, the recruited Cardinal Louis and other light soldiers all had the breath of another world. The elves bred by the elf mother tree were pure local creatures. As local elemental elves, their memories were passed down from generation to generation, and more or less, there would be some memory fragments of other similar elemental elves. The holy light elf Victoria was the same. She also had some very old memory fragments, just like her name was also chosen by herself, based on these memory fragments. The same was true for the fire elemental elf Evangeline. Tang Xiaofan asked, "What do you remember?" The holy light elf Victoria said respectfully, "I vaguely remember that a long time ago, I saw such a monastery of light, located in the central area of the continent of gods and demons. Later, the flames of war destroyed the monastery of light, and countless believers died in screams and despair. That should be a thing of the ancient times." Tang Xiaofan looked at Victoria and said, "What else?" The holy light elf Victoria said, "I remember that I prayed to the goddess of light in that monastery of light, but until the monastery of light became ruins, the goddess of light did not send down a miracle to save her believers." Tang Xiaofan said, "The ancient era of the war of gods?" "Yes." Victoria nodded. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Don't think too much. The monastery of light no longer belongs to the goddess of light. It belongs to me. You are a great god of faith." The holy light elf Victoria said with reverence and a firm expression, "Victoria's faith in you is unswerving. It is eternal like the holy light." Tang Xiaofan smiled and nodded. He naturally would not doubt the faith of his troops in him. After all, the loyalty is there. Although there are still traces of the goddess of light in the memory of the holy light elf Victoria, she is no longer a believer of the goddess of light, but a fanatical believer. Even if the goddess of light reappears, she cannot take away the faith of the holy light elf Victoria from him, including those recruited light troops. In their consciousness, Tang Xiaofan is their only god of faith. As for the goddess of light, she is just a god of the light camp, and has nothing to do with them. They even thought that in front of the Almighty Lord they believed in, how could a mere god of light be as noble as the Almighty Lord? Of course, Tang Xiaofan also believed that, if the goddess of light had not fallen during the ancient war of gods, and returned to the continent of gods and demons, she would be so angry, that her heart would explode, when she saw Tang Xiaofan snatching her faith. The current continent of gods and demons is ruled by the gods of the truth camp. This is very cruel for the gods of faith. After all, their home is gone. Chapter 299 A beautiful day with important things. If the goddess of light knew that the foundation of her faith had also been taken away, she would no longer be the supreme god of the light camp, and she would be so angry that she would fight with Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan built the monastery of light, recruited light soldiers, and spread the faith of light in the continent of gods and demons. This was digging into the corner of the goddess of light. The corner of the goddess of light was already in ruins. After being dug by Tang Xiaofan, would there still be room for her to rise in the continent of gods and demons? It would be strange if she was not angry. However, Tang Xiaofan would not care about the goddess of light's thoughts. Whether this goddess of ancient times was angry or happy, what did it have to do with him? What's more, if this group of gods of faith wanted to return to the continent of gods and demons, it would depend on whether the god of truth of this era agreed. If they disagreed, it would not be so easy for them to come back. So Tang Xiaofan was not worried that the goddess of light would come to trouble him. Tang Xiaofan looked at the holy light elf Victoria and said with a smile, "Don't think too much. As my holy light believer, you should also go in and pray. In the future, you will help Cardinal Louise manage the Legion of Light." "Yes, my Lord Almighty." The holy light elf Victoria nodded respectfully. Then he entered the monastery of light, and Tang Xiaofan returned to the castle. Go to bed in a blink of an eye. The night had passed, and the rising dawn enveloped the continent. The snow white and sacred black technology castle was also covered with a layer of gold, which was both holy and beautiful. Tang Xiaofan did not get up immediately, but opened the trading channel to check the trading status of the tens of thousands of goblin equipment he put on the shelf yesterday. He was not disappointed, or it could be said that nothing unexpected happened. All the tens of thousands of goblin equipment were sold out, including the last batch of thousands of equipment replaced by the believers of the goblin tribe. They were all exchanged. In addition, the dozens of sets of king level equipment were also auctioned off. Tens of thousands of pieces of equipment plus dozens of sets of king level equipment were enough to make Tang Xiaofan a fortune. In addition to the equipment, the arrow towers, camps and other ordinary blueprints he put up yesterday were also exchanged for soul stones. Not bad. Tang Xiaofan grinned. Then he hurriedly got up and washed up. He couldn't wait to see how much supplies were stored in the castle warehouse. After upgrading the advanced town, he had less than 1.2 million units of wood left to upgrade the Upper Black Technology Castle to a primary main city. He had long pinned his hopes of upgrading the main city on the tens of thousands of equipment. After all, there are tens of thousands of equipment, including dozens of king-level equipment. It shouldn't be a problem to exchange these resources. If nothing unexpected happens, I will own a main city soon. Hey. It was a new day, and Tang Xiaofan was in a good mood. Big brother, Tang Xiaofan had just arrived at the castle hall when the little Lalita with a rosy face rushed over to him and gave him a big hug. The little Lalita obviously didn't stay in bed, but got up earlier than Tang Xiaofan. Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Did you sleep well?" "Yeah." The little Lalita squinted her big eyes, raised her head, and looked at Tang Xiaofan and said, "Kenna slept so well. I've never slept so well. The big castle is really great." Tang Xiaofan rubbed her little head. "If you like, live here. It's convenient to come and go anyway." "Okay." The little Lalita smiled happily. There are angels and unicorns in the big castle. Last night, she made some good friends with elves, singing and dancing together. This place is just like the Neverland in the cartoon. She likes the big castle so much. In comparison, her dark iron dwarf castle is dark and damp in the underground world. However, the little Lali hesitated again, raised her head, and said to Tang Xiaofan, "Big brother, Kenna wants to go back during the day and stay in your castle at night. Is it okay?" Kenna will not be afraid of anything when she sleeps in the big castle. "Anything is fine." Tang Xiaofan smiled and nodded. Then he asked in confusion, "What are you going to do when you go back during the day?" The little Lali said, "Kenna is going back to learn to forge equipment from Grandpa more. This is a very important thing." The little Lali has always kept it in mind. She has never forgotten to forge a magic weapon for Tang Xiaofan. She believes that she will succeed. Tang Xiaofan didn't expect her to be so persistent. It's okay to learn to forge equipment, but don't hurt yourself. In addition to Saint Mer, my castle also has a senior blacksmith. Her name is Aita, and she is an elf blacksmith. This set of holy equipment on me, the blessing of the natural elves, was made by Aita. You can also go and learn from Aita later. If you can combine the equipment forging techniques of dwarves and elves, there may be unexpected gains. Tang Xiaofan said a lot, and after stopping, he found that the little Lali was looking at him with her big watery eyes. The little Lali said with great admiration, "I know, big brother, Kenna will definitely learn it." Tang Xiaofan smiled and said, "Don't worry, Kenna will learn it slowly." "Yeah." The little Lali nodded and said confidently, "Kenna will definitely become a super powerful blacksmith and forge the most powerful artifact for you." Haha. Tang Xiaofan laughed immediately, and he naturally would not pin his hopes of obtaining the artifact on the little Lali. As long as the little Lalita is happy, that's all. With the little Lalita around, he won't feel bored. After having breakfast with Tang Xiaofan, the little Lalita said hello to her elf friend in a hurry, and then returned to the dark iron dwarf castle through the teleportation array. She was reluctant to leave, but she was very stubborn. Tang Xiaofan let her go. In this world without the internet, cram schools, games, or other entertainment activities, it's good to find something interesting to do. Should I find something to do? Watching the little Lalita disappear in the teleportation array, Tang Xiaofan began to think about this problem. The little Lalita can find something to keep her busy from morning to night, while what he does every day is to brush the world chat channel and the trading channel. There is really nothing else. It makes him like a otaku, boring and uninteresting. But, after thinking about it, Tang Xiaofan couldn't think of what he could do. Like the little Lalita, learn to make equipment? Forget it, that's not what the omnipotent lord should do. Learning Olivia's hard work of practicing in groups day and night. He didn't have the patience, and he hadn't found a meditation technique that suited him yet. Going out hunting with the castle troops? Forget it. He didn't want to take the risk of fighting the enemy to the death. If he died in battle, even if he was resurrected by the elf mother tree, it would be miserable enough, and he didn't want to suffer such a pain. So, what should he do? Forget it. Tang Xiaofan didn't bother with it. He had more important things to do. Chapter 300 Upgrade the castle monster to spy. He turned his head to look at the castle warehouse not far away and opened an information frame. Castle warehouse. Capacity. The size of the space will expand as the castle level increases. Supplies. More than 130,000 units of food. More than 2.73 million units of wood. More than 2.8 million units of stone. More than 1.04 million units of refined iron. Some monster materials. Some gold coins. Gold and silver utensils. Gems. And noble accessories. Current status. Invincible. Special reminder. If the heart of the castle is destroyed, the warehouse's dimensional space will collapse. And all the stored materials will fall and become the spoils of the hostile forces. Protect your heart of the castle. Enough. Tang Xiaofan looked at the number of stored materials in the castle warehouse, and his face was full of smiles. Tens of thousands of pieces of equipment and thousands of sets of high-level equipment, including dozens of sets of level 20 equipment, were sold and auctioned. All were sold overnight. The total harvest of wood and stone exceeded 3 million units. Adding his original material reserves, he now has a total of more than 2.73 million units of wood and more than 1.8 million units of stone. He became rich overnight again. The most important thing is that after just one night, his castle can be upgraded again. It's really a big profit to attack the kingdom forces. Tang Xiaofan couldn't help but sigh at the wealth of the kingdom forces. This time, the equipment was sold, plus the materials directly seized from the Goblin Kingdom before. The total amount of materials harvested exceeded 10 million units. A Goblin Kingdom has allowed him to harvest so many materials, how can he not be rich? At least, compared to those large, medium and small local forces, the Goblin Kingdom is really rich. To upgrade the Black Technology Castle from an advanced town to a primary main city, it will consume 2 million units of wood, 1 million units of stone, and 500,000 units of refined iron. With my current resource reserves, it is completely enough. Tang Xiaofan did not hesitate, and immediately opened the castle upgrade information prompt. Do you want to upgrade the castle? Yes. As soon as Tang Xiaofan finished speaking, a dazzling golden light appeared instantly, covering the nearly 100-meter high Black Technology Castle. Then the golden light began to spread and quickly covered the buildings inside the castle and the entire territory directly under the castle. Soon, the entire Black Technology Castle was completely shrouded in golden light. Tang Xiaofan was very familiar with this upgrade process, and he had experienced it many times. However, Tang Xiaofan could still feel that the difference from the past was that the changes in the castle this time were even more drastic. His castle was growing wildly, and the territory directly under the castle was also expanding wildly. Even the city wall he built yesterday was growing wildly wider and taller. Tang Xiaofan had not expected the change in the city wall, because the walls had never changed in the previous upgrades of the castle. But this time, the defensive building wall, which was a higher level than the wall, changed. Tang Xiaofan guessed that this should be related to the upgrade of the Black Technology Castle to the primary main city. After all, after this upgrade, his castle is no longer a town, but a real city. Time passed slowly, and when the upgrade of the Black Technology Castle was not finished, about 100 kilometers away from the Black Technology Castle, there was a human figure, but strangely, the head of the figure was the head of a dragon. That is, a human body with a dragon head. It stood on the top of the mountain like a human, with its hands behind its back, and its golden vertical pupils looked in the direction of the Black Technology Castle. Even though it was more than 100 kilometers away, it could still see the dazzling golden light. Upgraded again. The monster with a human body and a dragon head spoke in human language, with a dull and solemn tone, and looked very upset. The powerful dragon's nest suppressed the entire forest, which local force dared to disobey. Even the kingdom forces had to tremble under the deterrence of the dragon's nest dragon legion. But, suddenly, a large number of castle lords from another world emerged in the forest. Among these castle lords, there is another super abnormal guy. He not only conquered the elf tribe, but also captured the goblin kingdom hidden in the underground world. What Dragon Nest fears most is that there is a demigod level strongman in this castle force. Olivia, the former spirit of the mother tree of the elves of the elf tribe, broke through the peak of the 21st level and was promoted to the demigod realm not long after joining the castle force. This is what Dragon Nest fears the most. The development speed of this castle force is too fast. If left alone, Dragon Nest will be conquered by the castle lord sooner or later. But if a war breaks out, most of the dragons will die in the hands of Olivia. After all, the power of the demigod cannot be underestimated. It's a headache. I just hope everything goes well this time. As the voice fell, a figure emerged from the monster with a human body and a dragon head. This figure looks almost exactly like it, just like its replica. This is its energy consciousness. It is condensed from pure energy and controlled by spiritual consciousness. Afterwards, its energy consciousness flew high into the sky and flew straight towards the Black Technology Castle more than 100 kilometers away. It was obviously afraid that its main body would go there and be killed by the owner of the Black Technology Castle, so it used its energy consciousness. Because even if the energy consciousness was blown up, it would at most lose a little energy and spiritual consciousness, and it would be able to recover after a day or two of rest, so it was not afraid of encountering danger. However, how could it know that its figure had long been discovered by the Skyless City located hundreds of thousands of meters above the sky? As the Sky City absorbed the normal operation and became more powerful, the area that its core divine pattern could monitor was also getting larger and larger. The Sky City had no interest in life forms of level 20 or below, because they were too weak. The core divine pattern of the Sky City could not sense such subtle energy fluctuations. The lowest was level 21. Before the Great Elf Monica joined Tang Xiaofan, she approached the Black Technology Castle alone and was discovered by the Sky City on the spot. Then Tang Xiaofan said nothing and activated the Terminator to lock the Great Elf Monica. Now, the monster with a human body and a dragon head is the same. Its level is also level 21. It has reached the minimum monitoring standard of the Sky City, so as soon as it appears, it is monitored by the core divine pattern. Both its main body and its energy consciousness body are tightly controlled. Tang Xiaofan only needs one command. It thinks it is more than 100 kilometers away from the Black Technology Castle, and it is safe to hide its main body and send out its energy consciousness body. In fact, it is only one step away from being killed. Black Technology Castle. Tang Xiaofan also received a warning from the Sky City, and Jarvis also projected the figure of the intruder discovered by the core divine pattern of the Sky City in front of him. Coupled with the warning and reconnaissance of the drone, this intruder has almost nowhere to hide. Let's not talk about this. Just say that when Tang Xiaofan saw that figure, he was still shocked. Human body, dragon head. What the hell is this? Aliens? When he saw the monster for the first time, he was really shocked. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.